The Democrats are acting like terrorists, holding the American people hostage right now in order to get what you want. You want to just quickly respond to that?
Yes, Mr. Infidel. We will keep government closed until the infidels give us what we want. We want free healthcare for illegal alien terrorists. You don't want to give free healthcare to Mexicans? Fine. We don't even like Mexicans. They're too loud, playing mariachi music until 6 in the morning. I need to sleep, baddie. I drive Uber tomorrow.
The Democrats are acting like terrorists, holding the American people.
Oh no, it's too small. That's what she said. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Vibe Program. I am your host, Joe Newman, aka Good Logic. Hope you're doing well today. Hope you're having a good day. I had to push back my expected 10:30 start. Many of you may have noticed I scheduled my stream a little earlier tonight than normal. That's because I had an engagement party for that niece of mine. Remember I told you I mentioned this, right? I did. We talked about this. We covered this. So a niece of mine got engaged. So the other night was when the engagement happened. Tonight was the official engagement party. So the wife and fam and I packed on out of here, which meant it's like an hour away each way. So, anyway, it was a little party. You can see I was even wearing a suit and everything, looking spiffy. Very, very spiffy. Had a great time. Also, always awesome seeing family. But that's why I scheduled this stream early. We couldn't get out of there. Just could not tear ourselves away. So that's why I ended up having to push this back to 11 o'clock. And that's the story there. And the one person who is most accommodating about all of this is, of course, our good friend here, Jim Satana.
Hey, what's
Jim
up, everybody? How's
you.
it going? Trying to get it going. Get it going.
It wasn't Lakewood. It was actually in Brooklyn. But Brooklyn to Jersey can take an hour anyway. So, but good guess. A lot of stuff's in Lakewood. I go to Lakewood far too often for my tastes. But anyway. So, how you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good.
It's been a minute, I think.
It's been a minute, yeah. I had some computer issues. I still have computer issues, but I don't want to, spoil everybody's night talking about my computer problems. But
you don't want to belabor.
I don't want to belabor it. Just put it this way. I don't know what it is, but I think it's, we don't have anything, it seems like, that's made with any quality anymore. There's no quality control. They basically did away with any of the people who would actually check the stuff. Because I guess it's cheaper for them just to send it out. And if it's bad, they just go, we'll replace it. Instead of paying somebody to actually do the checks. I don't know.
Yeah, you would think, right? You would think.
Because I had 3 brand new computers come to my house that didn't work.
That's really messed up.
Yeah.
And you need to have a certain type of computer if you're going to stream.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This was not a cheap computer. It was a $6,000 computer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than I pay for mine.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than I pay for mine.
I don't even want to tell you how much I spent on the new one that I had custom built.
Wow. That's a lot more than I paid for mine.
Yeah. But this one, I should be able to actually talk to people on Mars.
Well, that's a need that you're clearly, that's a need that has to be filled. Right there.
Well, I'm trying to get in with Elon.
I have for ages. I've been looking to talk to people on Mars, for ages, and I've never. I tried calling, and the connection it sucked. It was terrible. I don't even understand some of the stuff that some of the services that these tech companies are trying to offer. But all right. Anyhow, did you hear about Charlie Kirk?
What do you mean, Charlie Kirk? He died.
Not Charlie.
Jack Posobiec.
Jack Posobiec.
Yes, I did.
I'm thinking Charlie Kirk because he basically has deflected, saying that he's not the leader of MAGA. He's not the leader of MAGA. He says instead that the leader of MAGA is in fact Charlie Kirk. But that's a very comfortable deflection.
Yeah, there's a whole story. We have a couple tabs and stuff. We have a couple things about Charlie Kirk. We have there was an article written in the Atlantic, which we have.
Yeah, and that's where I really want to start. I want to start with this because I think it's an interesting question, as to it's very nice of Jack Posobiec to deflect that way, and no one's tarnishing or diminishing in any way Charlie Kirk's legacy by pointing out that we're as far as who's influential on a day by day basis and communicating MAGA perspective on current events. It's obviously going to have to. He might be inspirational. He might have, and there's no question he has a certain. There's a certain there's certain ideals which he stands up for, which will remain iconic for Charlie Kirk. But as far as day to day influencing MAGA, clearly someone living. And so yeah, let's start there. And I'll ask you this: if you had to pick someone. Before we get into this, if you had to come up with a name that you said, who is the leader of MAGA today, taking out Donald Trump, right? Because Donald Trump, a lot of people would say Donald Trump. They're talking about influencers. So influencing to follow Donald Trump, whatever. So I don't think they would say JD Vance qualifies either, because I think that they look at him as he's not an influencer, he's a politician.
Mm-hmm. So, influencer.
Yeah. But they say he's the most significant influencer of MAGA.
I would have to say, I don't even know, man. That is a rough thing to ask. Like, if it's not Jack, I don't know. I mean, it's got to be Jack.
You might say Don Jr.
Maybe Don Jr. or Don Jr. or
maybe Cash. I mean, I think Cash hurt a lot of his polish. He lost. I would have said Cash before the Epstein issue. I would have said Cash Patel probably before the Epstein thing really tarnished.
Well, Dan Bongino could have been the leader, but he went with the FBI, and so then he's kind of. And
the Epstein tarnished him also, right? I mean,
it could have been Alex Jones, but.
Some are, so I see. I'm curious. I'm looking in the chat here. I am watching the chat. I can watch chat a lot more when I have a co-host here.
Steve Bannon's too old.
I think so too. I think Steve.
It's got to be somebody in their 30s or 40s. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like that, in my opinion, someone you want to take to be the new leader. If they're taking Charlie Kirk's place, you can't be a guy that's, Christy Dome in a schoolgirl outfit, according to the Bronca show. That can't be the real Bronca show. That's somebody.
Why? That could be him.
I don't know. I can see him saying that, but if he's got his tie off, if he had his tie off,
that's totally.
But this picture clearly has a tie on.
That's clear. That's clearly Andrew Branca. There's no question. I'm pretty sure that's what he calls that's the name of his channel now, is the Branca Show. So that's him.
It's the Andrew Branca Show.
He calls it the Andrew Branca Show?
And I should have told him a long time ago to change it because it's way too friggin' long if you try to type it in. It's the Attorney Andrew Branca Show.
No, the Law of Self-Defense, Andrew Branca, who knows self-defense better than you do, show.
Yeah, I mean, it's long. but actually, if he changed it to just the Branca Show, that would be hit a lot better.
The Branca Show. Well, we're going to sit here in
getting Franca darkness. With Branca.
I miss Andrew. I haven't seen him in a minute. Graham Finlayson says, does the detention of Mohammed Ibrahim violate international law? I don't know. Do you know the story of Mohammed Ibrahim? If so, why doesn't someone call the international police to arrest Israel? Oh yeah, that's right. You know what the international police are? That's an invading army. That's what that is. There's no arrest. What is that even? I don't know if this is serious or this is. I don't know.
So is this Mohammed Ibrahim? Is this somebody who's arrested in Israel? I'm claiming.
I have no idea.
I'm guessing, not claiming. I'm guessing this is someone.
I don't know the story, and I'm not sure if this is sarcastic or serious. Like I don't know the story, and I don't know if this is sarcastic or serious. But it's pretty funny to think that, and you can arrest the country. That doesn't even make any sense at all. But
I don't know. We've got fucking politicians in this country right now thinking that you can arrest federal officers. No, they think you can arrest federal agents for enforcing federal law.
Yeah, that's true.
But we got some stuff on that actually. It's going to be good. Pam Bondi and some people in the DOJ have set the word out and sent letters to all these people and put them on notice that threatening to arrest federal agents is actually against the law.
Christine Oman, really? Really? That's where we're going?
See, because I don't think Andrew really has a. I don't think he thinks.
I don't think he would
I don't
write
think he
that.
thinks.
I
I'm
don't
not
think he
like
would write
Christy Nome.
that.
No, he's
Yeah.
not into Christy Nome like that.
Yes. We're trying to figure out what this is Andrew Branca based on how much the poster likes Christy Nome. All right. All right. No, so I was actually thinking Don Jr., but I can understand.
Could actually, you know who it could be? Barron. Barron could pick it up.
Oh, okay. That's down the road.
No, I'm saying in the next couple of years, Barron. I mean, think about it. Barron's already older than Charlie Kirk was when Charlie Kirk started.
A year ago, we would have said it was Tucker.
Yeah, I don't. It's not Tucker anymore. Tucker's went off the reservation.
Right. That's
Like
what
the
I'm
same thing
saying.
with Candace Owens. It's no.
Yeah. I wonder if I'm gonna have. I should put a poll up. Do you think that's Andrew Branca? That's the real Andrew Branca. But
Alex Stein is too much. I don't honestly. I'm going to tell you something, people. Alex Stein is not a. Alex Stein is not MAGA. He's not. Alex Stein is left wing.
I don't see that either.
No, he's left wing. He's not even conservative. He's left wing.
Is he?
Yeah. Everything he does is an act. He's doing basically what Colbert did, pretending to be someone he's not.
I'm going to say that the leader of MAGA is Robert Gouveia. That's what I'm going to say.
Could be.
I like it.
It actually could be.
I like it. Robert Gouveia, the leader of MAGA. That's the perfect choice right there. But Pozo's pretty good. Anyway, it's not a bad choice.
I mean, DeSantis is trying to make waves. DeSantis is over here trying to get rid of property taxes in Florida.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring up the links you have here.
I have them pulled up if you want.
DeSantis is not MAGA.
Okay.
He's sort of. I mean, he.
I don't know. His
take when Trump got arrested was the word I would use to Jews is parv, which I guess in English is best translated. Parv is what we use because we're not allowed to mix milk and dairy, like dairy and meat. We're not allowed to mix that. So something that's neither dairy nor meat, you just sort of call parv. That's in between. But so I would tell you that he's too lukewarm in the sense of when Trump was in his legal troubles, he was running against him at the time. So he obviously had a vested interest in Trump getting knocked off because Trump was obviously his toughest opponent. And I felt like he was too lukewarm about those bogus indictments. And so, I felt like the election of
I think DeSantis saw that as his opportunity to be president.
Right. But
He's
I'm
like,
saying is
I could
but the real MAGA perspective there would have been like, this is crap. This is persecution of your political enemies. You're creating brand new charges to try and find a way to go after this guy. So, and this is crap. And he was too lukewarm on it. He was just like, he was sort of against it, but yeah. So, and that's the thing is now he's also a politician. We're talking about influencers, right? And because someone's saying, what about Vance? And I think that Vance, if you include politicians, I think the leader of MAGA is Vance. I think he's ahead of Pozo. He's got much more significance than Pozo, as far as influencing the direction of MAGA. Right now, there's no one who comes close to Vance, which is kind of a weird thing we never would have said that 2 years ago. No one would have said that 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, that's the thing, because Vance wasn't MAGA 4 years ago.
No.
He wasn't. He didn't like Trump.
Right. That's my point. Yeah, that's my point. That's exactly my point.
Byron Donalds, that's a good one.
Oh,
but he's also a politician, and I thought we were talking about.
We're trying to exclude politicians here.
Yeah.
We're trying to exclude politicians. It's very hard because so many of the people who are leading voices in MAGA today are not people who, let's say 3 years ago, would have been like, these are voices that I trust. They're going to be expressing opinions that I'm going to be confident in. I'll give you some examples, right? You have Tim Pool, right? Is someone who a lot of MAGA listen to. Megyn Kelly.
But he's not MAGA.
Megyn Kelly is someone who a lot of MAGA
not
listen
MAGA.
to. That's what I'm saying. But MAGA listen to these people.
You know, well, MAGA listens to people. That's the thing. MAGA listens to a lot of people. Like MAGA listens to Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore is not MAGA, but Jimmy Dore makes a lot of sense sometimes.
True.
You know, he's a leftist, but you know what? He doesn't lie.
If you're looking for someone who they're most likely to be reposting, right? So Megyn Kelly is someone they're going to repost a lot, right? If you're a MAGA.
Speaking of reposting, have you noticed on X lately, if you engage at all with any Democrat whatsoever, you get your feed just goes blah, 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 with just all Democrats.
Oh yeah,
it's insane. I have to go through and go block, 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 and then unblock them just to get them out of my feed.
It's crazy. I
mean,
crazy.
One thing you don't even not comment, just quote tweet or something, and it's just all full.
I had whatchamacallit? I had what's this that lawyer Pisco, the one who I debated on Tim Pool.
Mm-hmm.
So when he commented on something I said, it was like all of a sudden like he had he had more likes than I had views on the original post. And I'm like, how the hell has this happened? That's so inorganic. Something's weird is happening here.
There's somebody inside. Elon took his eye off the ball with X, and it's basically reverted back to its old algorithm where it's promoting the Democrats beyond.
Maybe. I don't know. But the point that I'm trying to get in when I'm bringing in reposting on social media, because I think he sidetracked us a little there, so I'm going to try to bring us back. No, that's all right. That's sidetrack. That's what Trump would call the weave. So you just sort of wove us that way. But let's bring it on back now for a moment. And what I'm saying is, all the people who, if you're a MAGA type of perspective, right? You're just a regular guy or gal who just believes in MAGA ideals, and you're on social media, the persons you're most likely to repost, I would think, who are not politicians, are going to be Pozo. It's going to be Megyn Kelly. Cernovich. Okay. Right. Yeah, Cernovich.
No. I mean, basically any of the
Don
people.
Jr.
Yeah. Any of the people that were at that round table, that Antifa round table at the White House.
Andy No. Yeah.
You know, but those people in actuality, I don't think Andy knows MAGA.
Really?
Maybe. I don't. I think he's an actual liberal.
I think the best known person at that table is certainly Pozo.
Yeah.
He is the best known person at that table.
But you got like Savannah Hernandez, she's great. What's that other chick that got the punch in the eye? She's great. I can't think of her name now. Katie Davis Court.
Yeah. So this is Andrew Colvett from Turning Point USA. And the fact I think that Pozo has been sort of trying to fill void for Turning Point USA with his appearances there and help them out since the assassination of Charlie Kirk has certainly only boosted his visibility for MAGA. So in that sense, it's served him to a certain degree. But this is Andrew Colvett from the Charlie Kirk Show. Taking note of that and bringing Pose on.
And today I am joined by MAGA's main man. That's right. The most important influencer in the MAGA world. And that is, of course, Jack Posobiec, host of Human Events Daily. That's right, Jack. Take a bow.
Yeah, okay. I did not write the Atlantic piece. I did not go on the record for the Atlantic piece, but I will say this.
We have graphic.
I will say this about... Oh, do you have the thing?
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Oh, yeah. Here's what I'll say about this. I respectfully disagree with The Atlantic naming me MAGA's most important influencer, next top influencer. I respectfully disagree. The name of MAGA's most important influencer is Charles James Kirk. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well said.
And by the way, that's a very MAGA thing for him to say, right? I mean, that's you could not come up with a more MAGA thing to say.
Is there a reason it's echoing?
Oh, I'm having the same problem with you that I had with him. All right, I took it off the stage. This is the same problem I had with Patrick. Are we still echoing? I removed it. You shouldn't.
I don't know. No, it's not echoing. Okay.
Yeah, I removed it. That sucks.
Another thing is, I don't think we should let The Atlantic decide who the main influence of MAGA is.
Let's be crystal clear about this. The reason Atlantic does this, I mean, I shouldn't say the reason they're doing it, because that's attaching a very nefarious.
Well, they're pretty
objective.
nefarious, Joe, and that's why they're doing it. Is they're trying to put a target on Jack.
It's very evil to make that claim, but yeah, a lot of folks. The first thought I had is, oh, so they want crosshairs, like literal. They want literal crosshairs on him, and that's he's the one they deem most threatening. That's certainly what they're saying here. I haven't read the article yet. Have you?
I haven't read it. I have it. If you want,
I'm nervous to read it because the Atlantic it's
notorious. Look at the stuff they wrote about Trump.
No, what I'm saying is, if an article in the Atlantic, it's like you're basically, the reason it's called the Atlantic is because you can cross it 4 times before you finish reading one piece in there. I mean, they're just on and on and on and on. I can guarantee you, whatever number of words are in this piece, I won't make it through like a third of them trying to read through this article, but maybe the first page or two to get a general feel.
You know who could have been, who could have really been a force and a power in the MAGA movement, but she kind of walked away? Is that Kayleigh McEnany?
Yeah, she could have been
the first term press secretary.
From the end of his first term.
Yeah. She was good. She was great. She could talk, and she's still good on Fox when she's on there. But I think she's kind of
there's something that feels untrustworthy about her, right? This is the problem. This is the problem. Like, this is, I think, why there's no top influencer. And Pozo, I don't know. I haven't seen anything about him that gives me that uncomfortable vibe. That's really what I think is sort of almost like by default how he's, and that's perhaps too much. That's too little compliment to Pozo, because he is a uniquely talented individual. He's very smart. I had the privilege of meeting him. Yeah, I was
nice guy, very
nice. And the way I met him, I couldn't even believe. You won't believe me when I tell you how I met him.
You were in the bathroom.
Actually, I did take a whiz next to Pozo. But that's not where I met. I didn't meet him in the bathroom. But
yeah, that's where I met Trump. And then when I tried to shake his hand, he got mad. And
yeah, you met Trump in the bathroom?
Yeah, long story. It's in the 80s.
Are you making this up?
I am. It's a joke, because I tried to shake his hand in the bathroom. He got mad.
That's pretty funny. I heard that with a different actor. But when I was covering the Bannon trial, so I was right outside after day 2 or something like that. I was outside, and the press was all waiting for him to come outside. And when he finished and went into his limo, all of a sudden I hear someone scream, Joe Neerman. And I turn around and I'm like, holy hell, that's Jack Posobiec. Holy hell.
He was calling your name?
Jack Posobiec knows my name and is calling me. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You were on, and I'm not saying this is why, but you were on those streams with Rittenhouse and everything, and that was huge. And I think Jack's been on with Nick.
It's
I think
possible.
Jack has been on with Nick on Nick's show. If I'm not mistaken.
He told me he would come on here. This is like 3 years ago, but it hasn't happened yet. But I will.
Well, did you invite him?
I've reached out to him without
I'm starting to get the sense that you kind of didn't buy your he doesn't really
him off.
Not that you're blowing him off, but he might actually think that you think you're too big for him or something. That
clearly, that's
he told you he wanted to come on the show, and you didn't reach out and have your. He's expecting your people to reach out to his people. I'll take care of it. I'll reach out to him. I'll get it taken care of.
Jack Posobiec. That's what I was doing. Yes, that's a good. You got a good. That's a legitimate take right there. I was big timing him. I don't. So yeah. But then when I was covering Trump being arrested, and indicted in New York, and I went down there, I bumped into him again, and we were hanging out, and I was talking, and we were speculating about the likelihood of success of those charges, and just hanging out in downtown New York together. So that's twice that I've met, and sort of, and it was a couple of days in a row that I saw Jack Posobiec at the Bannon trial, and then there was one time again. So it's like 3 different times, and every time I'll stand and I'll be like talking with him for like 15-20 minutes and be hanging with him. And he's very nice. He's crazy nice. It's very unsettling talking to your dog. But
why? the people wanted to see my dog. They're like, "Oh, we want to see
It's
the dog."
very unsettling. I feel as if I'm staring at your dog's keister here. It's just in my face.
No, that's her face. She's just sitting there laying.
I don't know which part's her face, but
It's all the way to the left. I'll take it off. They said I looked like my dog.
I don't see that at all. No, I don't. But Candace is now blaming Trump for Charlie's death. She lost. Is anyone surprised? Is anyone surprised? JD Vance could be, but he's a little busy. I know. I'm not sure what she's trying to get at. So Abraham was a 15-year-old kid arrested for rock throwing at Israelis. Who among us hasn't tried to harm people with rocks when we were young? Yeah, he is.
I don't know if he's being sarcastic or
no. He is.
no. I'm saying about throwing rocks.
Graham.
Yeah.
I can't even. I'm just guessing with this guy. I have no idea. Has anyone said Michael knows yet? I don't know if anyone.
No,
we haven't said him.
No, nobody from the. I'm going to tell us right now. Nobody from the Daily Wire is MAGA
because the Daily Wire it's too neocon, right?
Yes, total neocon.
It's too neocon. Yeah, DeSantis has a touch of Pence in him. Hopefully not like. I hope you don't mean that like literally, but but I don't know what it's his personality also, and he's also a politician. Which soon-to-be-fired NFL coach could leave back?
Okay, he said I think it's obvious he was being sarcastic, Graham. Okay.
Oh, okay. No, and I agree. And I assume Andrew's met him also. This is totally Branko, and he's crazy nice. Like if you try, I couldn't. It's not. It's like when I meet people. If someone was like sort of what I likely would do with that person is I just would sort of like skim past it, or like I'd just be like, oh yeah, I met him once, and like that would be it. I wouldn't bother saying that he's really nice unless he is, and Andrew's right.
Someone's saying Scott Pressler. Scott Pressler could, because of his what he's doing for the vote stuff and getting the vote out stuff.
I've never. What about James O'Keefe?
Well, I mean, he could be, but James O'Keefe is not. He's not. He doesn't take sides really. He goes where the story is.
That's a MAGA perspective, right? It's
Is
like
it?
not take sides. So this is part of the problem. Is I think that is that different people who consider themselves MAGA could have different, very varying perspectives about what that actually means. Because to me, the willingness to take different sides and say it's about the truth, it's not about the person who's behind it. That's a MAGA perspective. And because that's about what makes America great, is that we're going to be searching for truth. And there's nothing that can be greater than giving actual truth. Now, so that's why to me that's what MAGA is. MAGA is not about Donald Trump. Donald Trump helps bring MAGA to life. The concept of making America great again to life, that's the greatness of Donald Trump. But in ways that no other president in my lifetime has come close, and probably 3 of my lifetimes has come close.
Is Trump really MAGA?
Well, that's my point. I mean, this is part of what you call that's what we say. Okay, so I ask you, how do you define MAGA?
America first.
Okay, that's so America, putting America first.
Americans first.
You're saying putting American interests first.
Yeah, and the American people, the citizens, their well-being above everything else.
I can certainly accept that. That's a reasonable take on it.
That's why it has like a populist. It's populism. Because it's what the most people can benefit from.
Populism is not exactly the same thing as nationalism, though. What you're describing is more of a nationalist type of perspective.
Well, no. Well, how wouldn't a populism be nationalism? Because the people, as long as your populism is the people that are in your nation, their interest would be your nation's interest.
I don't know. Frankly, when I get into the nuances of these different labels, like populism versus, you're wearing the populism. If you're looking at what nationalism is, it's like our country is great. Our country will succeed. Populism is nationalism. I guess is more about America, as opposed to populism, which would be more about Americans.
Yeah. I mean, years ago, you would not find any politician in the United States, and I don't even say probably 30, 40, 50 years ago, and beyond that, they would all say they were nationalists. They were for the nation. Right. Now it's become this negative thing where if you're you're a nationalist. Oh, what are you, a bigot?
Right, because nationalism got conflated with the Third Reich.
That didn't happen until the 80s and 90s. That was not that way in the 50s and 60s and 70s. It wasn't.
Right. But as we got dumbed down over time, as we got dumber, it's just word association rather than thinking through what the person's actually saying. Right. So, there's a difference. Like, it's funny. Yesterday I was covering a story near the end of the show about with sin, where we were talking about the Muslims praying on the floor of the Senate. And I was like, do you mean praying on the floor of the Senate or praying on the floor in the Senate? Those are two different things to me. And I was like, that's because Muslims always pray on the floor. So were they just praying and they were in the Senate building, or they were praying on the Senate floor, like the main room? Because to me, that was a dramatic difference. And and that's where English sort of is easy to sort of manipulate if you're acting in bad faith. So similarly, I consider myself a white person despite my Jewish DNA. I consider myself a white person. Most people, if they're looking at me, they say that's a white dude. So, and I'm a nationalist. So that all of a sudden, if you say white nationalist, everyone thinks that means racist, and it's like, no, I'm a white person who's very strong believer in our nation and the exceptionalism of our nation. And but the simpletons just hear white nationalists and they just conflate that as being you're saying you're a racist, or that you're for white power. And
I have a problem with the fact that nobody seems to want to acknowledge that Islam is a religion of conquering. And it's always been a religion of conquering.
It is.
That's how it was founded, to conquer. It's what it does. It's what it's desired to do, is to conquer the world and make everyone a Muslim, or hold them under their boot. You can say, oh, it's a religion of peace. No, it's not. It's not. I mean, who says? It's not. Muhammad sure didn't say that. Besides that, though, the first thing that this country, the United States, went through, the whole reason we had a navy, was because of Muslims stealing our boats and taking people prisoner.
The reason they call it the religion of peace, the reason is
because when they blow up, a piece goes over here, a piece goes over there.
No, because in Arabic, Islam means peace. They define literally the little definition of the word.
So they were the first ones to use language to screw with us.
Pretty much. You know how English is very, very similar to Canadian. So, similarly, Hebrew and Arabic are similar to each other. English is probably closer to Canadian than Hebrew is to Arabic, but the word for peace in Hebrew, I don't speak Arabic, but the word for peace in Hebrew is shalom. The Muslim they say salam, because the SH becomes an S, and instead of the O sound at the end, it's just an A. So we say shalom, they say salam. But and that's why Islam is I think it means of peace. The Islam, it means like of peace. So that's why when they refer to it as religion of peace. But the difference here, the reason why I think you're 1000% correct when you say that it's by structure, it is an aggressive religion, is because it's almost like, when they call it peace, it's peace through making everyone be part of Islam. Yeah.
No,
if
the
you
whole
s-
thing. The whole thing with the
it's-
you have to pray 5 times a day. You have to do this. That's all submission. You must
Yes.
submit. You must submit. You must submit.
Well, I don't know if the prayer.
Women must submit to their husbands. They must do this. They can't. They need their husband's permission to do this.
I don't even look at that as being the part. I don't even look that to me. That's not the problem either. That's not the problem because what any of the major, all three Abrahamic faiths believe that you're a servant of God. I believe even Christianity. I know Judaism has that. I believe Christianity looks as you're a servant of God. The question is what God is calling for you to do, and that and what God's objective for you to do is. The fact that but if you're a servant of God, there's a submission that's happening there where you're saying, okay, I'm submitting myself to the will of God. But then the question becomes, okay, what's God calling upon you to do? And that's where the three faiths will just go into like three very different directions. So so in that sense, I don't have a problem with them saying, if you're of our faith, you have to submit. But when they come to a perspective of that if you're not of our faith, you must submit to our faith. That's where it becomes something that's very different. That's where it becomes very aggressive. Because someone says they want to embrace Islam and that's, and they want to worship God through the teachings of Muhammad. So I say, okay, go ahead, go do that. But if that means that you're going to be forcing someone else to do something who's not part of your faith, that's where I have a problem. The same way, if someone wants to give charity and give to a poor person their money, that's awesome, and I'm proud of them. And if a third party called the government comes along and says, we're going to take your money and give it to this poor person, that's theft. It's the exact same thing. It's about the fact that we're allowing people to have the freedom of choice, that we're allowing people to actually do what they want to do. So if someone wants to volunteer their life to God, I can deeply respect that, and I consider myself that my life is forfeit to the will of God. But that doesn't mean I have a right to. And part of that is I don't have any right to force you to do that. I have zero rights, because that's what my teachings tell me, is I have zero right to try and push you into anything mirroring my service. So it's a choice that I make for myself. The problem is the same way that there's a difference when we talk about the term peace through strength. You heard Ronald Reagan talk about peace through strength, peace through strength,
Trust but verify.
Well, but the point that I'm getting at with that particular phrase is, he said peace through strength, and then Nikki Haley comes along 40 years later, and she's saying peace through strength. But these are not the same types of peace through strength. When Reagan's talking peace through strength, he was basically saying, if we're really, really strong, no one's going to mess with us, and we will have peace. Nikki Haley comes along, she says peace through strength. She didn't say if we're really, really strong. She was like, if we blow you up, we'll have peace. That's not peace through strength. That's peace through conquering. That's two totally different things. And that's why I think is a very strong parallel to the concept of Islam being it's all about peace. But if it's all about peace because, well, we're going to conquer you and then there'll be tons of peace, that's Nikki Haley's style of peace through strength. So that's why I think that it technically does mean that, but the way their objective and how they're going to get there, according to the more fanatical ones, certainly, is through means that's the terrorism that we've seen. That's the fanaticism that we've seen.
I don't know. I mean, I don't hate anyone, but I don't trust. They have it in their religion that they can lie, where they could lie to subvert, to get their goals. They could tell lies, takia, whatever you want to call it. That's part of their religion, is they don't have to be truthful. It's just opposite. A night of Christendom, you have to tell the truth, even if it leads to your death.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. No, I feel you. I feel you. I 100% understand. I understand what you're saying. It's an interesting thing that's the bright line. That's the bright line, even if it leads to your death. Interesting. All right. MAGA requires charisma. Daily Wire, well-intentioned as they are, is a charisma black hole. Yeah, I do question the charisma. Who from Daily Wire do you think has charisma?
Nobody.
Maybe Michael Knowles.
I mean, who would have a better chance of being the leader of MAGA than anybody from the Daily Wire? Steven Crowder.
Yeah, he's had some rough moments.
He's had rough moments, but I'm just saying he's got more charisma than anybody at the Daily Wire.
Yeah, he's had some rough moments. That ringtone, that ring video stuff. That was
He's got the
rough.
Riz.
He does have the Riz. Did you hear me talking about that?
If you ever hear me say I got the Riz, call the police. I'm being held hostage.
Yes. That's right. Our slogan is not make the right great again. Yeah, exactly. It's make America great again. 100%. I totally agree with you. Maybe Erica will surprise us after she adjusts. I would be I wouldn't be surprised. I would be astonished. And it's not because of any shortcomings specifically in Erica. It's because the nature of being charismatic and intelligent and having having all the different attributes, let's say, that Charlie Kirk had. And we have to call a spade also, not to call back from humor from yesterday, but to call a spade. On September 9th, 2025, day before Charlie Kirk dies, he is a significant influencer in MAGA. He's not consensus the top influencer in MAGA. Maybe if we had sat down and thought about it, we'd be like, yeah, amongst the young, he is. Amongst the young people, he's the most important voice. But like, it's not like people were like, oh, the first thought you have, everyone calls themselves MAGA. The first thought you have, who's the top influencer in MAGA? It's not like Charlie Kirk had it. He ascended, I think, to that position, and rightfully so, because of the fact that he was assassinated for his contributions to MAGA.
It's true. The same could be said about Martin Luther King. He wasn't the top civil rights leader. There was a bunch of people vying for that position in the 60s, doing different things. You had
right. That's not a knock on Charlie Kirk.
And it's not a knock on Martin Luther King either. It's just that once he was assassinated, it was like, okay, this is the guy, I guess. He was the one.
Through martyrdom, the person ends up being raised onto a whole different platform, a whole different level than they could ever attain in life. So in that sense, I think that, so we're trying to figure out who is, we're talking in the context of being Erica. So what made Charlie rise as much as he did is he had charisma, he had intellect, he had an affability and a very quick mind to be able to engage in debate in ways that few could even hope to rival. Mm-hmm. So he was, in that sense, he was a powerful figure, and yet, and that's what I'm saying is it just happens to be very rare that his wife would be similarly talented. It's such a unique talent. Most people who are that talented don't have spouses who are similarly talented.
Even if she was that talented and that great, her belief system is that a wife, and this is from her own words, that a wife should submit to her husband and be there for her husband. Is she never going to get remarried and have a new person that she's going to be, giving herself to and devoting to? And
that's a good Christian woman.
And the good Christian woman, she's going to get remarried. She's going to get married again, have more kids. I'm just saying, I don't know. And it's not in no way an attack on her. So don't think that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like that was before Charlie died, before Charlie was murdered, her place was to be by his side and support him.
And raise his
kids.
Yeah.
Her job is still to raise the kids. And at some point what is she going to be, a nun and never? No, she's a beautiful woman. She's going to meet somebody. They're going to, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You hope it would happen, because why would you want her to spend the rest of her life alone?
Yes. Agreed. That she should spend the rest of her life, living as the widow of Charlie Kirk. It's very nice, for us to sort of look at her on that sort of pedestal as the widow of Charlie Kirk. But on a day-to-day basis, the emptiness of that is a very uncomfortable life. So, yeah, let me get through these chats, and I do want to start reading this Atlantic article, at least a couple of pages of it, and then we're going to get into the news. Jim should buy a MacBook Pro for streaming, which costs less than $6,000 and doesn't require an annoying Windows account.
Yeah, but you got to get an Apple account.
Yeah. Bernie bros are populists too.
No, they're communists.
Yeah. Breaking Trump truth. Trump just terminated negotiations with Canada. He's livid, sent a DM. Did he though? This is what she shared with me here, from reported by Gunther Eagleman.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. So, oh, I gotta take this out because I had set up something else to share here. I was gonna just remove this. So annoying when I have to deal with this. All right. So Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. The ad was for $75 million. They only did this to interfere with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT.
Did they buy the ad in the U.S.? Because if they did, they might have broke the law.
Why?
Foreign governments are not. We don't foreign money involved in our elections and politics. We have laws, campaign finance laws, and election laws.
Well, that wouldn't be a camp. It's not a campaign if they're just making a political statement, right? Unless they're contributing to some particular campaign. But the Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada fraudulently used an advertisement, which is fake, featuring. That's wild. That's wild. But,
so did they use an AI generated thing of Ronald Reagan speaking? Which isn't there a law that someone passed a law recently about that, about deep fakes?
They have a law like that?
I thought they had some law about deep fakes.
I don't follow.
I know they were trying
law.
back under. No, I'm talking about in the U.S. Obviously, the ad was ran in the U.S.
Okay,
because obviously that's what I'm saying. The ad was run in the U.S. Clearly.
Yeah. Well, that's a wild thing. I love the fact that we get updates about what's happening through Truth Social. I think it's hilarious. I think it's really, really funny. Like, that's the way you know what's going on in the world is check out what Trump tells us on Truth Social. Anybody who eats particular foods with their bare hands should be returned home. There you go. I'm not sure what he's getting at.
He's talking about Mandani. He was eating rice with his hands.
Oh, particulate foods. I was thinking French fries, but he means particles.
Particles.
Yeah, that should be sent. That I'm going to sign up with. Yeah, I don't want to see people doing that. Yeah. Oh gosh, that's gross. Islam is derived from salam, but it primarily means submission or surrender, ostensibly to Allah, but in practice to Muslims. Okay. Right. My friend converted to Islam years ago, so I'm around a lot of them. Good people in groups of 3 or 4, danger in 5+. Never trust them, never give an inch. Next leader MAGA is George Santos, has good redemption arc. That's not happening. Eric Kirk is a woman. How many Margaret Thatchers do we imagine exists? Yeah. And I don't think it's a very rare combination of talents.
Look at what Marjorie Taylor Greene has done to herself.
To rise up to that level of being like a leader is a very rare combination of talents, and it's rarer still for women. So the likelihood that his widow happens to have those parameters, especially when we haven't seen it yet, she's well positioned because she's running Turning Point USA. I understand that, but as far as her actually having the capacity to carry it in the way that he does, can anyone imagine Erica Kirk has the capacity to get up there and debate one leftist after another on a stage in front of an audience of thousands? Because that's a unique skill, or the ability to get up there and impress upon people. When she's a grieving widow, she's starting at a certain point where everyone is, no matter what words come out of her mouth, she could have started squeaking like a dolphin. We all would have applauded and felt for her. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way. She spoke marvelously. I'm not trying to diminish how she spoke at the memorial service. I'm simply saying, no matter how she spoke, she was going to be heralded because she was a grieving widow. But that's very different from when she's not taking the role of grieving widow. And it's like, okay, she's a leader of an organization, a leader, or the featured voice of MAGA. And it's not she's Mrs. Charlie Kirk, but she's Erica Kirk on her own. That's a very different role. So let's get into the Atlantic, because I do want to get a little bit of this article just to get a feel for what they're at. But I'd love for people to weigh in and tell me what your thoughts are. Do you think, like, if you're watching afterwards, you want to drop a comment, just tell me what your thoughts are. Who do you think is the leader of MAGA? Like, Joe, if you're talking influencers in MAGA, it's Don Jr. and Eric Trump. Let's not beat around there. I think Don Jr. is the right call. I agree with Uzelian, who sent that over on Rumble. Nevermore says, I heard an ex-Muslim Lebanese UK commentator say that the first person he ever heard call Islam a religion of peace was George Bush. It doesn't even make it. Yeah, and I don't think they hold themselves out that way. They've never held themselves out that way. I don't think if you ask a practicing Muslim, like, "Oh, are you a religion of peace?" They'd be like, "That's not what we're known for." You're probably saying great things, but no one can hear you.
Except that they can lie to you, Joe. So how can you trust what they say when it's in their religion that they can lie to you to conquer you?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I see what you're getting at there. I see what you're getting at there. All right, let's get into this Atlantic article, and we'll get like a little feel for this. Charlie Kirk's death left a void on the right. Jack Posobiec looks better positioned than anyone to fill it, according to Ali Breland. 2 days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, his signature podcast was back on the air. To honor Kirk's memory, 4 of his closest colleagues hosted an episode of Charlie Kirk Show, gathered inside his old studio at Turning Point USA headquarters, keeping an empty chair for Kirk. Directly to the right sat Jack Posobiec, a conservative influencer. Quote, I know the seat looks empty, but it's not, Posobiec said, because in a way, Charlie's the only thing we're all thinking about right now. Unlike the other 3 co-hosts, Posobiec's primary job wasn't working for Kirk. Nonetheless, he's become one of the most prominent faces of TPUSA since Kirk's death. Regularly spoken of at the influential right-wing organization events, appear on various TPUSA podcasts, and occasionally filled in as a guest host for Kirk's show. You don't have to worry about speaking, by the way. I'm sharing this on a tab, so you're not going to be echoing.
Am I wrong, or wasn't Posobiec more of a mentor to Kirk? Right? I mean, he's older.
He's from Newsmax, right? He had that.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I think it was the other. You know what I mean? Like, I think Kirk more. He's
definitely older, right? He's
that learned from. I think he's 10 years older than him.
Yeah.
I think Posobiec's in his 40s, right?
He looks like someone. When you meet him, I'm just like, okay, I think he is probably older than he looks. That was the vibe I got. I was like, this is a guy who I think is older than he looks. He doesn't look like an older man, but there's a certain maturity in the way he carries himself. So he's done high-profile media hits with CNN, CBS News, talk about his late friend, and he delivered remarks at Kirk's funeral, joining a list of speakers that included President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and several cabinet members. Oh, I have to sign in. Posobiec, who declined to comment for his story, has long been a star in the world of MAGA, 3.2 million followers on X, where his podcast, Human Events Daily, regularly accrues more than 100,000 views. In a 2023 Semaphore poll, dozens of Republican strategists most commonly named Posobiec as the influencer with the biggest poll among the party base. Yeah, I don't really care enough to read more. I'm definitely not signing up to the Atlantic.
Do you want me to get the archived version of it? Do you want to read more of it or no? Don't take a second. Let me see. I'm sure it's archived already. Let me look.
Sure it's archived.
Let me look. If it's archived already, we don't have to wait. We'll grab it. Yeah, it's already archived.
All right, so we'll go another page or two.
Here, if you want to pull that up. Where were you?
Further.
Keep going.
Posobiec and Kirk have many differences. Posobiec's friends and colleagues emphasized to me, nobody can replace Charlie. Raheem Kassam, founder of National Pulse right-wing media site, told me. The late TPUSA founder ran a sprawling organization with its tentacles in voter registration efforts, campus events, fundraising, and media. He also presented himself as a level-headed person who was willing to calmly engage with his political opponents. Quote, Charlie was trying to be a uniter, Steve Bannon, Trump's former strategist told me. Jack is totally different. Posobic's approach to politics is much more adversarial. He is, by the way, he's much more aggressive than Charlie Kirk ever was. Even so, Posobic is better positioned than anyone else to fill at least some of the void Kirk has left as one of the most important figures of the contemporary right. He shares one of Kirk's biggest strengths, his ability to simultaneously reach both the MAGA base and the most prominent Republicans in Washington. Come on. If there was ever, he went too far. If there was ever a natural inheritor to Kirk in that respect, some conceded Jack has that ability. Earlier this month, Posobic attended Trump's Antifa roundtable gathering in the White House alongside top administration officials, including Kristi Noem, etc. If no one can replace Kirk, Posobic, with his large audience and his deep connections, is now more indispensable on the right than ever before. That I agree with. I first came across Posobic in 2017 when he dashed by me while I was covering a Democratic press conference about net neutrality in the Capitol lawn. Posobic passed out flyers, asked senators holding the event why they supported satanic porn. What did demonic erotica have to do with regulating internet service providers? He never clearly explained. If you had told me then that Posobic would become one of the most important influencers, right, I wouldn't have believed you. As far as internet regulating internet service providers, I think that's pretty clear. What do you mean he never explained? If you asked him the question, I'm sure he could have explained it. See, this is what I don't like about this. This comes across like a hit piece. And when you have a hit piece like this in the wake of, because just read this paragraph here on top. When she writes here, I believe Ali is a girl's name. I don't know. I assume it is. It could be like a Muslim male name like Ali. But what did demonic erotica have to do with regulating internet service providers? The fact that the purpose of regulating them would be to make sure that they're not allowing demonic. That's why you would regulate. You're not regulating to stop what's happening everywhere. You're trying to stop the most egregious crap. So perhaps that's what he's talking about. It doesn't really require much of an explanation. But the way this paragraph is worded as saying, what did demonic erotica have to do with regulating internet service providers? He never clearly explained. So it's implying that he's just barking without having any real logic or reason, but that he's just someone who's barking some right-wing talking points without knowing what he's talking about and being rather empty about it, when in fact you have to be empty-headed not to even ask the question. The question itself is a stupid question. So in that sense, it's framing to portray Posobic as someone who has a powerful microphone and is just sort of barking out talking points without knowing what the hell he's talking about. That's how this is being framed. So when given the context that we know that this is a politically charged time where loonies are arming themselves and trying to harm political adversaries. And now you're basically taking this guy and you're saying he's got a huge following and he's barking out stuff that doesn't make any sense and he doesn't have any answers for it. You know, if you ask him a question, he doesn't have any answers for it. It's basically you're saying he's a menace. He's giving out he's misleading, misinforming the public. That's what this paragraph is designed to do. So we're going to take this down. I don't need to read any further. I'm going to tell you right now, that's what it's designed to do. And that's why I think that you can make a fair claim that the objective here is basically to try and trigger the lunatics into thinking he's the biggest threat, the biggest danger out there, and he's a bad person, and he's managed to hoodwink millions of people and be a negative influence on them, and that is putting crosshairs on him to not the majority of folks to the majority of folks on the left, the crosshairs are from an innocent social media barking like idiot type of things, as opposed to the small percent of Democrats who are genuinely violent lunatics that he's putting crosshairs on Jack Posobic for them.
You really think it's a small percentage at this point?
That would actually take up arms and assassinate someone? Very small. That might be willing to punch him. It's a larger percentage. That will be willing to harass him like in weird, bizarre ways. It's a slightly larger percentage. And that will basically try and harass him, in general, is a far greater percentage. Yeah, I'll ask
I
you
mean,
this:
the amount of people that would.
do you think that there's 3% of the people of the left that would actually pick up a gun and shoot someone
I think
because
it's
they
way more
disagree
than
with
that.
them? You think it's
I think
way
it's-
more
I
than
think
that?
It's way more than that.
I think it's much less than that.
It's way more than that.
It's much less than that because we would see it. There would literally be gun violence. There would be blood in the streets every week. If it was,
Well, the
if it
good
was
thing is that
3%.
all those people on the left, most of them are afraid of guns and they think they're evil and bad and they don't want to own them.
Well, even if that's a factor, that's still a factor, right? And even
But
if
you
that's
look
a
at all the
factor-
videos of the people that went around, it's keying Teslas, doing all the stuff to the Teslas. And
We're not talking about the keyboard warriors, Jim. I'm talking.
no, I'm
about
talking to people that
who
were
actually
physically
get a
doing
gun.
damage. I'm talking about the people who were out doing physical damage. Look at all the people who are running around right now, chasing ICE around, ramming into them with their cars. Look at all the people who were cheering and celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder.
There's
Okay,
100
that
million
is-
registered Democrats right now. 3% of them, you're saying there's 3 million people out there who would get a gun and basically who would have the cojones and the fortitude, the will and the interest to basically get a gun, go out there and assassinate their biggest enemy. Let's assume that it was Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a bad example because he uniquely they would think, okay, he's the problem. Like if we got rid of him, he's the problem. But that's some influencer that they probably never listened to 3 times. That this is someone that they're going to go get a gun and basically potentially end their own lives to kill him. I don't think there's 3
There's
million
only
people in America.
44 million registered Democrats in the United States.
Okay, fine. So we'll cut our numbers. I'll cut my numbers by 44%.
But you gotta also realize that actually
60,
probably
I'm sorry, by 56%. I'll cut my numbers by 56%.
there's a real large
You think
portion
there's a
of
million-
communists and stuff like that don't consider themselves Democrats. They're Green Party. They're this. They're socialists. I mean, how many? I should have looked up how many Democratic
That's only helping
socialists
my
there are.
point. That's
I'm
bringing
just
our
saying.
number, that's bringing our number back up closer towards the 100.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
So
Yeah.
okay, but so let's assume that there's 50 million people on the left. Okay, so that means
Okay.
a million. And you think there's a
No, I would say there's a million. There's 100 million people on the left.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at. But let's just say there's 50 million people on the left, right? So if there's 50 million people on the left, so you think there's a million people out there who would literally pick up a gun and shoot a Charlie Kirk in the face?
I think if they had a gun and they saw the person there in front of them, yes, they would do it. They might not be able to go out and hunt somebody down or like these lie in wait to attack ICE agents and stuff like been happening, but it happens, man. Especially it's getting crazier, man, and more. It's basically the media, what they've been doing to people and the stuff they've been saying. The people that are watching CNN and MSNBC, their brains are broken.
Jim, these numbers you're talking about are crazy.
It is crazy.
No, I think that number of like crazy lunatics is probably closer to like 100,000.
So you don't think every person that went out and protested at the No Kings rally would shoot Charlie Kirk or Trump if they had a chance?
No, zero. I think from that audience, it's less than 3%.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's very easy. It's very easy to pick up a sign and go marching around because you figure I'll get chicks this way, and I'll go marching around like this, which is what I think a lot of them are. It's like it's a social thing. Like, oh, I hang out with our friends. And what are my friends doing? Well, I'm in college here, and all my college friends are woke, so I'm going to be woke. But you'd say, well, now that you're woke, go shoot that person in the face. Be like, are you out of your mind? I'm not shooting that person in the face. They might even be yelling. They might be screaming. But even all the videos of people we see screaming, and you pick up any random thing and you show me a video of someone screaming, yeah, I hate you, blah, 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 like screaming like a total idiot. That woman crying, no, when Trump gets elected. If you found 10 of those women, one of them would have the cojones, the guts to actually pick up a gun and shoot someone and kill them. That's my point. It takes a certain mentality. Now, if they had certain backgrounds to them, they'd be more likely. If they'd been trained in the military, they'd be more likely. If they were male, they'd be more likely. But what I'm saying is that to actually go and murder someone, flat out murder them, I think that maybe I'm crazy, but
You're saying to go and murder someone. I'm saying someone's here. They
I
happen
want
to
to
have a
make
gun on
clear
them.
here. This doesn't mean that it's not a sick problem. It is a sick problem because even if there's only 100,000, even my numbers are right. Okay, even if my paltry numbers are right, that's an insane problem. Because you have 100,000, even if you have 100,000 people, you have 2,000 people in every state, 2,000 people who basically are looking to go out there and kill people. That's insane. That's crazy high. And all you need is one of them to basically, like, one of those 2,000 to basically go out there and start taking shots at someone. That's a crazy high number. But that would explain why it doesn't happen every week.
Well, there are shootings every day. It's just, whenever it's.
But not politically motivated assassinations.
Well, we know that they lie about when they cover stuff up, so. Remember that kid that got run over by the guy in the truck in Utah because he was a Trump supporter? The guy chased him down, and they just kind of basically argued the fact that, it wasn't politically motivated.
45% of the
man.
population would do it if it were consequence-free, but it's not consequence-free. We're working in our current environment. It's not.
Some of them might think it could be consequence-free if they think,
You have to be.
Look at the amount of people who are saying "Free Luigi."
Right. Free Luigi people, of the people screaming Free Luigi, I think that maybe 3% of them would ever do what Luigi did.
Well, just because they don't have the balls.
Okay. But not having the balls means they're not going to do it. That's my point. I'm just trying to assess how grave this problem actually is. And I think it's incredibly grave with it being this small numbers because there's so many crazies and there's so much triggering that's happening out there. So I still think it's incredibly grave. I just think that in our hearts and our minds, it sort of gets overinflated as to the number of them that are a potential hazard. That if you see a video of someone who's acting like a lunatic, yeah, okay, the ones who look thuggish are far more likely to be the ones who pull the trigger because I feel like they may have pulled the trigger on someone last week on some non-politically motivated thing. So yeah, those folks are much more likely to be in the 100,000. I'm simply saying that I'm gonna have to put a poll up.
I don't know. I think the whole thing about getting a gun and shooting somebody maybe is where the problem is if you get a mob of people, you say like this No Kings protest gets out of hand, they will beat somebody to death without a thought.
Yeah,
because once somebody starts throwing a punch or something, it's just going to be stopping and kicking, and the mob takes over. Right. Yeah, the mob takes over and stuff. I mean, yeah, it goes. I think we're maybe when you're talking about if maybe I'm saying more like if they're together in a group, these people would do it. It's maybe not one-on-one. They're not just going to walk down the street. You're not going to have like that guy who got shot in Portland, and then they ended up remember back in like 2017, 2018, the guy that shot the Trump supporter, and then the feds caught him. Marshals killed him. It was like on the streets of Portland or something. I can't remember the guy's name. It was real big. It was because basically he got shot for being a Trump supporter on the streets of Portland.
I remember that. I remember that. That was like 7 years ago, right? Like 6 years. Yeah. Did Charlie have any brothers for his wife to remarry? The wife remarrying brothers is actually only if they don't have any kids. So the brother comes in and remarries. Then that comes from Torah. That, in fact, it's still recognized today that there's a duty on the brother of the deceased person's brother to marry the widow if they don't have any kids. And there's actually when that tragedy occurs, that someone dies without having any kids, that is a custom that we have, that they because if the brother rejects the wife and says I don't want to do it, so there's a process which we call chalitza, which is where in front of a council he would just formally reject her, and it's a bit of a religious ceremony which happens fortunately rather infrequently, but yeah, but all of that only applies if they don't have any kids, because the idea is you want to uphold his name by having her have kids. So but if they have kids, in that case it wouldn't kick in. So, and I don't know if you have any brothers or not.
But I could swear there's like I don't know if it's in the Bible Christian wise, but if or if it's more of something that normally happened. There's a long tradition of people whose brothers got killed and then wife had kids, and the younger brother or the brother would marry the wife to take care of the kids and raise the kids as their own. And
What do you mean?
I don't know. It's always in movies and stuff.
You guys
Like old
catch
Western
Bannon-
movies and stuff. Like they'd be like, this guy is, oh, this is my brother's wife, but I married her and it's his kid, and I'm raising the kids because it's what my parents told me I should do and take care of my brother's wife. And I don't know.
In the miniseries Turn, the main character was married to a woman who his brother had been engaged to, which I think comes from that sort of biblical type of thing. Starch Manning says, you guys catch Bannon's interview admitting it? I don't even know what interview or what he's admitting to what. Atlantic is owned by Steve Jobs' wife, who is friends with Maxine Waters of Epstein fame.
No, Max, no, Max.
Oh, it is. It has me Maxine Waters, right?
No, she's talking about
Ghislaine Maxwell?
Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah.
I think that
Maxine Waters is the congresswoman that looks like she's.
Yeah, I think he means
the
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Alien creature, predator.
You get in their face. Is the biggest far. It is a far left rag. They're the ones who claimed about the suckers and losers. I think they're the ones who created that bogus thing. Joe forgets about the Weather Underground. I expect it to get worse. If only 0.1% goes full Weather Underground, red will be in the streets. If only 3% of No Kings, 7 million, that's 210,000. I'm just going to.
There wasn't 7 million at that No Kings rally.
There was
like
no
a million
7 million. There was 1 million tops, and this only goes to prove my point. If you can only get 1 million people to march at a No Kings rally, I don't think that the number of crazies out there is nearly 1 million people. You can't tell me that there's 1 million crazies out there if you can only get a few million to a No Kings rally.
Here's a question I got for you, Joe. How many people are in this country?
That's a fair question.
Because we found out that there's 100 million illegal aliens or something in there, or people on visas that overstayed and every other thing. So
that's a fair point.
I don't even know. There's probably 500 million people now in here that we don't even know about. I mean, we don't know.
The official numbers, I think, are 332 million Americans, which means that there's like 430 million people in the continent.
At least.
Yeah, probably.
Because they know there's like
not the
over
continent.
60.
I'm not counting
but they know there's 60 million people who overstayed their visas.
Yeah. They're making ICE tracking and blocking apps directly from members of Congress. It's accelerating. This is a frightening thing. Like just this has to be illegal.
Well, no, I have the Pam Bondi and all the people from the DOJ sent letters and told them to, basically to Pelosi, to Pritzker, to all these people saying, preserve your documents. You are under investigation for violating of
it has
law.
to be, right?
Yeah.
It has
you
to
are
be illegal.
You are under investigation for violating the Insurrection Act.
That's what I was thinking. It seems like it's insurrection. It seems
is.
like it's insanity. In fact, that's something I think I'd like to cover with you, perhaps, because it is insanity.
Did you want to watch any of these other things with Jack talking about, like Charlie Kirk being the ballroom being named after
30K? Yeah, you know what? You're right. Let's get to that first. I think that's a good thing. Let's get to because we talked about Jack Posobiec and filling in for a void of Charlie Kirk. So before we close out this story, even though we're an hour in on it,
that's my fault.
That's all right. No, this was good.
Weaving.
This was a really good chat. I don't
know, the chat. The chat actually hates me now.
I think it's your best work to date. I'm not kidding.
Oh wow.
I mean, this is like, it's not even close. This has been peak Jim Satala. This is like Jim telling me and like sharing with me perspectives.
That is, I mean,
yeah.
My show, I don't normally give my opinions very often. I just read the news and every once in a while I go,
But that's what people want. That's where you're making it about. That's where you're making it like about, it's more than just catching up on the news, but they're actually getting some thought and perspective. I don't know. So I'm like, well, people can read a newspaper without my help. But
don't tell them, and then I got no show. What the hell?
You need to watch more of Jim Tells You. Otherwise, you're not going to know what's going on in the world. So, so what do you got for me? Are you sharing this with me here?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be bringing that up. Something?
Sure.
What should the president name the new Grand Ballroom? Asked Jack Posobiec. He says President Trump would be well within his right to name it himself, but believes it should be the Charles J. Kirk Ballroom. Keenan Peachy thinks, knowing Trump, he would probably name it America's Ballroom. Then they discuss how there's an Obama freeway in California.
There's a video if you want to watch the video.
Yeah, let's do
reading it.
that. Yeah, let's do that. 6 minutes.
We don't have to watch the whole thing.
Peachy Keenan now, and you guys may have caught the tail end of the press conference, which bled over a little into our segment here on the 2:00 show, and which, I got to talk to Caroline about that, because I said, Caroline, you got to end those at 2:00. That's when Human Events comes on here on the East Coast on the ballroom. So I'm going to put that out to our audience. Send us your email. What name should President Trump give for the White House ballroom? 1776 at humanevents.com, 1776 at humanevents.com. And I'll put that to Peachy Keenan herself. Peachy, what are you thinking?
Well, I think if I could read Donald Trump's mind, I think he's going to name it something like the American Ballroom or America's Ballroom. But I also loved your suggestion also, Jack.
Well, so I had said, now I know a lot of the media, they're saying, oh, he's going to name it after himself, the Donald J. Trump White House Ballroom, and he's going to say that. And I get that. And by the way, he totally could, right? Because he is the one, and I'll make the argument. I'll steel man the argument, to steal a Charlie trick. I will steel man the argument, even though it's not my argument. If he wanted to, look, it was his idea. He's the one who raised the money for it. He's the one who's going through, and he knew that when they did the guys, do we have the?
I just want to point out though that Truman put the balcony on the White House. It's called the Truman balcony.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with him calling it the Trump
Ballroom.
I don't care if he does.
I mean, it's probably going to be called the Trump Ballroom by most people anyway, because he built it. You know what I mean? Because he put it on there. Like Obama did whatever he did and put the basketball court in, so they call it the Obama basketball court.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to watch more of this, or not? I mean, it's kind of long.
I think we get the point. I think we got the point there. Uzelian shared with me over on he shared with me on the in the Rumble rant that I'm wrong and that you're right about the numbers. And his evidence for this is this article right here, which comes from today.ugov.com. What Americans really think about political violence. I don't know if we can make it all the way through this, but the shootings at the right-wing activists this week has sparked a national debate about political violence. YouGov has been polling regularly to find what Americans are thinking. Some Americans are more worried about political violence. Just 6% of Americans say political violence is not much of a problem. 5% or not a problem. 1%. 87% say it's a problem. Majority, 59% of U.S. adults saying political violence is a very big problem. Not everyone's worried.
There was a study that I saw that said like under 30, like under age of 30 on the left, it's like 30-40% believe that violence is okay. You know, that's their whole thing. They all these people, this Antifa and all these people, it's by any means necessary, direct action, whatever we have to do. It's justified, because to them, our speech is violence. So them actually committing violence against us is fine. This is probably the study.
Yeah, this is to say all Americans have been more concerned about political violence than young adults. Okay. All right. How many Americans say violence can be justified? Part of discourse is, whether it can be justified. YouGov polling says Americans overall far more likely to say it's always or usually unacceptable to be happy about a death of a public figure they oppose than they are to say it's acceptable. Okay, most Americans say it's unacceptable to be happy about public figure deaths. But younger and more liberal Americans were likely to call acceptable. This is not a new thing, by the way. These polling numbers would have been maybe not as high for the young. In other words, it would have, the Overton window has shifted these numbers slightly, but it always would have been the younger people would have been more okay with it than older people. That's always, but so instead of it being, a total of 8% and 77 against, maybe 25 years ago, it would have been like 5% and 84% against. But it always would have been the younger people who would be skewing more towards being tolerant of violence. Most Americans across the political spectrum say political violence is never justified. Okay, younger and more liberal Americans more likely to disagree. That's not a surprise either.
But would political violence be justified if somebody's committing violence against you? I mean, to say it's never justified, you know what I'm saying?
They don't look at it that way. They don't see that part of it.
You know, like I wouldn't go out and start violence, but if somebody brings violence to me, they're going to get it back.
Liberals and younger Americans are more likely to say political violence can be justified, but are not more likely to defend violence in self-defense. Of course not, because they're useless. Many Americans disagree with Kirk's statement that Second Amendment is worth some gun deaths. I don't really care about that.
That's bullshit.
But this isn't proving that I'm wrong about anything. Just because people say that violence, just because the percentage of people that say violence is okay is much, much, much higher than those who would be willing to do it. That's not the same thing, Uzelian. You can't tell me that. Name it the Monica Lewinsky Hillary Clinton sacrifice. All those, or of all the Bill's kids who went to die. So in Monica Lewinsky's dress. So
anyway, I have a quick story that I wanted to get your opinion on because it's about New York.
We're going to get there in just 1 second. Let me just knock these off real fast. It's important that a giant portion of us want to hurt the rest of us and are only restrained by repercussion. But that's always been the case, right? It's always been the case that people are restrained by repercussion. That's why we have repercussions. That's been a societal state of existence for several millennia now. So 3%, 1 million, still 30K. All right, I think I got everything now. What were you at?
Just a quick story, something I just saw today in New York. I don't know if you saw it or heard about this. It says, today we announced a $55,000 fine against an apartment complex in New York City for displaying a poster encouraging tenants to report illegal aliens to ICE.
What?
Yeah. What? Yeah, so I have it if you want to read it from them. From the State of New York official website, Division of Human Rights. I don't get this. I don't understand how this is possible in America.
All right, read it to me. Let me just listen to this.
Yeah. Division of Human Rights launched an investigation after reports that a housing provider posted signage about reporting immigrants to ICE. The complaint resolution included a $55,000 fine and requiring housing provider to implement fair housing policies.
Okay.
The New York State Division of Human Rights today announced a $55,000 penalty and important fair housing policy mandates in a housing discrimination case against the owners, managers, and agents of residential buildings in Jamaica, Queens. The division filed a complaint after reports that the housing provider posted a sign in their building lobby encouraging reports to U.S. Customs Enforcement. I don't get it. I don't understand. They're just saying if you report, so they're finding this person, and this person agreed to pay the fine over saying, hey, if you see an illegal alien, report him.
Wow.
How is this possible?
Yeah, and they don't even have Mamdani in there yet. This is
No.
under Eric Adams.
Well, this is New York State. It says New York State Human Rights Law.
Oh, it's Hochul.
It's Hochul.
Hochul.
It says the division complaint also alleged the housing provider subsequently retaliated against tenants for cooperating with the division investigators, including threatening them with immigration raids.
I would totally
Fight it.
Yeah, I would totally fight the hell out of that.
No.
I would fight the hell out of that. That's of course sort of case. I'd be like, this is something that who is it that was fined?
What is this? Parson 88 Realty, Zara Realty Holding Corp.
I feel like I want to represent them. I
don't get it.
And tell the state and give the
Take
state
it to. I would have it removed to federal court.
Give the state a big FU.
Clearly a First Amendment problem.
I totally would want to. I would get Harmeet Dillon involved because this is right in her, and I would totally want to defend this thing. This is I always say I'm like out of the game. Like I'm like happily retired from practice law. That's the sort of case that I'd be like, yeah, this is not okay. This is not okay. and fighting the U.S. government about this crap. That's the sort of reason that I actually keep my license active.
I thought that was a good segue to go to this then.
That is so messed up. That is so freaking messed up. They're fining them for encouraging people to report those who are illegal to ICE. Wow. Yeah, send me that link in an email. Did you send
It's in your email's in there, yeah.
What
It's in
number
the
is
email.
it? What number is it?
Where the hell was my email at? Here it is.
The argument that I'm sure that they're making is that you're trying to pick on these people on the basis that they're a different race, but that's crap, because it's not. Even if they were the same race,
That's number 3. Number 3.
Even if they're the same race as you would be reporting them, presumably. So that's a ridiculous claim. That's crap. That is such BS. Oh, I'm getting angrier about this. The more I'm thinking about this, I'm getting angrier and angrier.
I knew you'd like that one. I mean, not like, I mean, I knew it was something where I was like, oh, he'd like this. But
I would laugh if Trump should require all HUD to put up the exact same sign to maintain HUD funding. Yes, that would be great. That's what he should do. You want HUD funding? Yeah, you got to put up a sign encouraging people to. That would be great. Oh, that'd be so good. Take it word for word, the sign they put up there. It's like, teach them a lesson. That's how you teach them. You want to try and like basically snap at us? I'm gonna and just supersede you. U.S. Department of Justice, anyone who places a bounty, figurative or real, on the head of a federal officer, whether directed by gang leaders or by California state and local officials, will be held accountable. Or the Atlantic, putting a bounty on Jack Posopic's head. The DOJ will not tolerate threats, intimidation, or interference with federal officers. Anyone who assaults, obstructs, or directs others to impede a federal officer carrying out the laws of the United States is committing a serious federal crime and will be investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Federal law enforcement officers risk their freaking lives every day to protect the American people and uphold statutes passed by Congress. The DOJ stands fully behind our officers and will use every lawful tool to protect their safety and ensure they can carry out their duties. So F you, state of California. To California's elected leaders, do not weaponize your police forces for politics. Ordering or directing state or local officers to act against federal agents risks violating federal law and endangering public safety. Focus your resources, you jackasses, where they belong, on the violent crime, fentanyl, gang activity plaguing California's streets. Let there be no mistake. Federal law will be enforced. Federal authority will be upheld. You fascists! This Department of Justice is committed to making America safe again. She's much better in writing than she is like.
I think Todd Blanche actually wrote this.
She's much better in writing than she is in he did write it. Yeah, I guess Todd. Yeah. California politicians want to arrest federal agents for enforcing federal law. We just sent them a letter. Stand down or face prosecution. It's obstruction. That's what it is. It's obstruction. No one threatens our agents. No one will stop us from making America safe again. Beautiful. Beautiful. Dear federal agents, officers. Oh, sorry. Dear, who is this to?
To Nancy Pelosi, Rob Bonta, Gavin Newsom, and Brooke Jenkins.
Dear Clown Show.
Yeah, Dear Clown Show.
Federal agents, officers, and prosecutors work tirelessly every day to advance the public safety mission set forth by President Trump and Attorney General Bondi. Despite receiving no pay during this current government shutdown, courtesy of the freaking Democrats, federal agents and officers across all 4 federal districts in California continue to put themselves in harm's way to keep Americans safe. Rather than supporting and working with federal law enforcement professionals, California politicians in their cozy mansions with their freaking gated communities, including U.S. Representative Nancy Pelosi and her $9 a pint ice cream, San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins, whoever the hell that
She's a district attorney, I believe, in San Francisco or Oakland or somewhere. I don't know. Because you heard too, Trump talked to the mayor of San Francisco, and he's not going to send a guard to San Francisco now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that came out. I got it in here somewhere, but
Have instead, these two idiots have instead called for state and local enforcement officials to, quote, arrest federal agents and officers for enforcing federal law enacted by the United States Congress. You know, you heard of the Congress, Nancy Pelosi, that you were once Speaker of, including federal immigration laws. The Department of Justice views any arrest of fellow agents and officers in the performance of their official duties as both illegal and futile. Resistance is futile. Numerous federal laws prohibit interfering with and impeding immigration or other law enforcement operations. See, for example, 8 U.S.C. 1324 A1A3, harboring aliens. 18 U.S.C. 111 A1, assaulting, resisting, or impeding federal officers. 18 U.S.C. 372, conspiring to impede federal officers by force, intimidation, or threat to injure federal officers. 18 U.S.C. 1505, obstructing proceedings before departments, agencies, or committees through threats or force. Further, the Supremacy Clause. You remember what that is, Nancy? About federal law superseding state law? The Supremacy Clause of Article 4 of the United States Constitution precludes a federal officer from being held on a state criminal charge where the alleged crime arose during the performance of his federal duties. For example, Clifton v. Cox. It's your
there's
Ninth
also
Circuit. It's a Ninth Circuit case.
Yeah, but
That's
it's also-
California.
there was also a later case when Ruby Ridge happened. You remember the ATF agent killed the woman, and they knew it was a bad shoot. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, "Yeah, you can't charge this guy." Idaho tried to charge the ATF agent with murder. And they're like, you can't.
DOJ will investigate, prosecute any state or local official who violates these federal statutes or directs or conspires. So if you're directing them, Nancy, if you're directing them, Brooke Jenkins, to do this, we will be prosecuting you. Accordingly, you are hereby directed to preserve all written electronic communications. We're going to investigating you. We're going to send you to jail, bitches. Electronic communications and records related to any attempts or efforts to impede or obstruct federal law enforcement officials, because you should have known this is crap. What you're doing here is totally illegal. We urge you and other California officials to publicly abandon this apparent criminal conspiracy to stop threatening law enforcement, to prioritize the safety of your citizens. In the meantime, federal agents and officers will continue to enforce federal law, including immigration law, including ICE officials, including rounding up all these freaking illegal aliens, as many we get their hands on, whether they've committed crimes or not. We don't care. Get them all the hell out. And they're going to continue to enforce federal law, will not be deterred by your stupid, empty threat of arrest by California authorities who have abdicated their duty to protect their constituents. Respectfully, based AF Todd Blanche.
I mean, you're a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't
I am?
Wouldn't what the mayor of Chicago did, setting up ice-free zones, wouldn't that be a violation of these laws?
Obstruction?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it's later in the stack. If we get, I have a whole stack of these things where Prickster, Fat Slob Prickster, the governor of Illinois.
I heard of Prickster.
Yeah, he's going to commission to investigate ICE and federal officials.
I think his nickname is Little, right? Like, they call
Little Prickster.
They you know how they call they call like bald guys curly.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's
And
he's Little Prickster.
Yeah, Little Prickster.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Pam Bondi claimed early on, the first month that she was brought on, that anyone gets in the way of performance of federal duties, they're going to prosecute. So, one more DM: the Reagan Foundation seeking legal means. The Reagan Foundation seeking legal means. All right. No, I don't see. I don't see. Oh, the Reagan Foundation statement. I don't see. I just see the words Reagan. Oh, the Ronald Reagan. Oh, that was going back on that. On what made Trump angry?
The Trump angry thing. Oh, okay. I'm
not. No, it's okay. Yeah,
someone says Prickster's not fat. He's just morbidly obese.
Yeah. All right. No, that's go get him. See,
We have a whole bunch of examples of
Todd
what they're
Blanche.
saying.
Todd Blanche would have been so much better as the AG than Pam Bondi. So much better. All right. But we got what we got. So at least we have Todd. Thank God for Todd Blanche.
Mhm.
Thank God for Todd Blanche. The dude is awesome. He's spot on. Everything he's saying is supremacy clause. What the hell you think you're what gives you the right to think that you have the authority, the jurisdiction, or the legal right?
They're basically
To obstruct ICE.
trying to goad Trump into declaring the Insurrection Act.
This is Nancy Pelosi's way of sitting in front of an ICE truck. Right? I mean, it's like sitting outside the gate, but instead of her sitting there, she's basically having other people try and stop them. She's no different from them.
How is this not a seditious conspiracy?
And it's
didn't,
worse.
Didn't we just lock up a bunch? Didn't they lock
It
up a
is.
bunch of people for 20
It
years
is.
for a seditious
It is.
conspiracy?
It is a seditious, and that's why they say preserve all records is designed to imply we're going to be prosecuting you. That's what it's designed to be doing. And they should. Tell these people, lock them up. You're standing in the way. No one. It's bad enough you're not helping. Bad enough you're not helping. Get the hell out of the way.
Because if they destroy the records, that's another charge, isn't it? Destruction of evidence or whatever, tampering with some kind of federal charge.
That's why they say preserve. Once you say preserve, it's putting them on notice, and that way, if they decide to start deleting emails, you can be like, the deletion of those emails is itself criminal. It's a separate crime. That's
Wow. So you're saying Nancy Pelosi could get 34 felonies?
a lot more than that. A lot more than that. What else we got, my friend? Do me a favor. Give me 60 seconds. Figure out what you want to pull up next.
I have a whole bunch of stuff that was related to this. I have a whole bunch of people like Prickster and other politicians basically admitting on camera that they're breaking the law.
Oh yeah. We're gonna do that real quick. I just really need a drink terribly.
Go ahead.
Badly. So I'm gonna give me 60 seconds.
I'll talk to the chat.
Yeah,
hello,
chat. Make sure they're very entertained. Okay.
Okay, chat.
If we lose a
I just spilled my drink all over me.
If we lose a single viewer, I'm going to hold you accountable. Right?
Well, I don't know. There's a couple of them that hate me for some reason. I don't know. They actually try to say that Cynic is more entertaining than me. I don't, what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why Barnes doesn't like Todd Blanche. There might be some personal beef between them. They probably know each other and had a type of a type of falling out or something. But I don't know. And what records did Trump destroy? I don't think he was ever accused of destroying any records. He should have destroyed records, but he didn't. So let's see here. What else? Pam might not come across as great, but I'm trusting that she's working hard. Hedy Lamar. I think she's doing her job. I think she might be in a little bit over her head. I don't think she did a great. Okay, the chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. Quick, Bella Cam. Okay, I'll do that. Since Joey ain't here, I'll give you guys Bella Cam. So there you go. There she is. Okay, fair housing laws. I'm a realtor. You can't do it. You can't put a sign up saying to report people who are breaking the law? Seriously, Schwalbeck? You can't do that? Watching paint dry is better than what? Watching Bella? Really? Chris Griffins hates the dog. Wow. That's, is it over yet? It's not over yet. Thanks. No shot collar needed. No, she's fine. She just lays there and, she's very well behaved. I would think, PGTMR 2713, I would say free speech, but Pam trusts her staff, but are they deep state adjacent? Well, there is a lot of that going on in the DOJ. There's a lot of problems with basically bureaucrats that burrowed in and, Barnes says that Blanche is subverting Ed Martin. I don't know. I trust Robert Barnes on a lot of things, but he does kind of use a lot of hyperbole and for performances and stuff like that. So I don't know if Barnes is being completely.
Why are people talking about whether or not Joe smoked Camels?
I have no idea.
So, Joe, if you smoke Camels, you should sue the Joe Camel people. Why is that? I did spend a period of my life smoking Camels.
Well, John Drennan, it's just you that seems to hate me. I don't know why. I'm not trying to guilt trip you.
You're not okay. I don't know what made you think that switching over to the dog. When I
They asked for the dog. They asked for the dog.
Oh my god!
They said since Joe's not here, put the dog on.
Oh my god! Oh my god! No,
That's what they wanted.
No.
Yeah. No, I mean, Robert's not usually wrong on stuff. It's just what I'm saying is he times is hyperbolic. He'll say things that are a lot more extreme, like to say that, Blanche is subverting Ed Martin. If he wanted, Ed Martin works for Todd Blanche. He'd just tell him to stop if he wanted him to stop.
That's true. Breaking: Lieutenant Governor of Illinois just threatened Gregory Bovino after saying he's worse than Jim Crow era and the architect of Operation Midway Blitz. I don't know what that is. It's unprecedented.
That's the operation in Chicago, Midway Blitz, where they're rounding up. They've arrested 1,400 illegal aliens already.
It's unprecedented to Democrats that the federal government is deporting illegal aliens. It's never happened before. Biden allowed millions to flood into our country under illegal means. None of them deserve to be in our country and should be considered invaders. The vast majority of them have zero intention of assimilation into American society. These Democrats are using them to cheat in districting and to destabilize communities. These are acts of sedition, should be treated as a hostile act against the Trump administration.
I would say against the Trump administration. This is the lieutenant governor of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. I want to begin by thanking Governor Pritzker for his steadfast leadership.
She pronounced it wrong. It's
during these
Pritzker,
unprecedented
not
times.
Pritzker. Pritzker.
There's no better leader to steer Illinois as we navigate this crisis. I'd also like to thank the Honorable Ruben Castillo for meeting the moment and stepping up to chair this commission in the name of pursuing justice, accountability, and transparency.
I have a feeling this video is going to get me
mad.
mad.
Thank you to all of the distinguished commissioners and other leaders standing with us today. Since the announcement of Operation Midway Blitz, ICE agents have operated in our streets with complete impunity.
They should.
As a daughter and lifelong resident of the South Side of Chicago, it is hitting close to home.
It should.
Today, I want to invoke the legacy of one of my sheroes.
Sheroes.
Oh my God.
Sheroes. All right, sheroes. But do they not realize that those Chicago streets are also in the United States of fucking America, and so federal agents have authority over them?
I need to. I'm not even joking with what I'm about to ask you. Is Sheroes don't I'll give you both. You tell before you answer. Is Sheroes SHE like in hero but a woman, or Sheroes designed to be like CHI like Chicago heroes? What is the
I think it's Sheroes as in SHE rose. Sheroes.
See, that's sickening. That's sickening. If it was Sheroes like Chicago, I'd be like, okay, that's actually kind of cool. But because there you're showing pride in your community. When you're showing pride in your gender, that is divisive. Pride in your community is cool.
Well,
so
better than what we call them, the Chicago Savages.
The Sheroes, such freaking loser. Sheroes. All right, let's go on.
Who once lived blocks from my home in Bronzeville, in the Bronzeville neighborhood.
No one cares.
Ida B. Wells Barnett. Ida B. Wells was born into slavery and freed 1 year later. She was a trailblazing civil rights activist who, after the Springfield, Illinois race riots of 1908, helped found the NAACP. She was an investigative journalist who was committed to exposing the scourge of lynchings.
I thought the NAACP was...
See, Miss Ida understood that what's done in the dark under the cover of night had to be exposed if there was ever to be real change.
No one's looking to not expose.
What I'm saying is that at our very core in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois is the strong, fearless, and courageous spirit of Ida B. Wells, who said these words.
Oh my God,
the only way to right wrongs is to shine the light of truth upon them.
Pause.
So today,
yeah. The wrongs are you have illegal aliens. You see, you're sitting here right wrongs. They start with this given that ICE is in the wrong. which is a retarded way to start, rather than ICE is trying to clean up people who are in the wrong. Shining a light would be like, oh yeah, there's a spotlight on here's the illegal alien. Go get him. That's how you right the wrongs, you retarded woman. It's like when you live in the land of the perverse, when you live in the land of the twisted minds, and basically this all stems from an inability to have basic concepts of right and wrong, of morality attached to your mindset, where you're living in bizarro world, where the people who are the illegal aliens, where the criminals are the heroes, and the people trying to stop those who are harming society are the evil ones. It's like it's a sickness. This is really a sickness. These people have serious problems, and this is far more commonplace than the other ills we were talking about earlier. This inability to distinguish, have basic morality as to what is right or wrong, that she's sitting here trying to call up someone who I assume was invoking Ida B. Wells, who I assume, based on the way she describes her, is probably someone who cared about bettering society. So what does this jackass do? She gets up there and she starts basically pretending that she's assuming the mantle of whatever nobility Ida B. Wells may have rightly earned, and cloaking herself in that, saying that we're going to be shining a light the way Ida B. Wells. No, if you were shining a light on what's evil, what's wrong, you would be getting out your spotlights and saying, hey, ICE, over here is someone else who's illegally here in our country, and removing them. But she stands here on a moral soapbox like some clown wearing rouge, which I don't know why the hell she's got rouge on, but she does. It looks like her face, she got these big red cheeks over here, and looking like she's ready to scream an expletive at me right now. And she's basically standing up here blustering that she's the one who's in charge. She's the one who's standing here with moral virtue, when the basis of that is a completely skewed retardo land type of perspective of what right and wrong are. This is why when I it's like I'm tired of I'm done trying to like argue with idiots on the left who
Well, this lady's former famous thing to say was when Trump threatened to arrest J.B. Prickster. She said, "If you arrest him, you're going to have to come through me." Okay. Challenge accepted.
It's so futile to try and convince someone who starts off with an inverted mirror type of perspective on morality, of right and wrong, because everything about their entire perspective of what makes something a good thing versus what makes something a bad thing is completely bizarro land wrong. So now how am I having a conversation with you where we're trying to, and it started with one way of trying to like subvert this country was to like basically try and demonize. That was the Obama method. But over the last 5 to 10 years, they've worked so hard to confound their own people as to basic morality, as what is good versus what is evil, what is healthy versus what is unhealthy, that their own followers just can't engage in simple logic because their definitions of right and wrong, their definitions of healthy and unhealthy, of justice and injustice, have been so 180 degrees skewed that their logic is logical given their stupid definitions. They've perverted definitions and say that these are the good guys. The illegal aliens are the good guys. So now,
well, the next video after this will explain why they're doing this.
But that's how. So what I'm saying is, folks on the right, we tend to think the logic doesn't logic, and what I'm saying to you is, no,
they have logic, and they're going to explain. Like J.B. Pritzker's going to explain to you why.
The logic, you're mistaken. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. You're mistaken. The logic does have logic if you invert definitions.
Right.
And once you invert definitions, then of course they're right. But it's like you're starting with such twisted definitions that it's
they think these people are their constituents. You know,
Right.
like,
In
these
other
are my
words-
constituents. Like, they didn't vote for you, or did they vote for you? I thought they didn't vote. If they're illegal, how are they voting? What's going on here?
The only reason I bring up the trans thing is because it's such an obvious example of this ability to twist reality. Right?
Did
It's
you
such
see
an
the Minnesota
obvious-
case?
I don't want to get into
Yesterday?
that. I don't want to side. I don't want to weave at this moment because I'm trying to.
All right, go ahead.
But the
Sorry.
point that I'm trying to get at, it's okay. The point that I'm trying to get at is that the logic does logic, because if you take, if you say like 2 + 7 = 4, because you're redefining what 2 means, you're redefining what 7 means, and you're redefining what 4 means. And then once you redefine everything, now all of a sudden you can make up whatever formula you want. So you and I are dealing from a perspective of what reality is, and they're dealing from a perspective of what reality is not, and saying this new reality is what we want you to accept as being reality. If you refuse to accept that, that makes you a bad person. So, and now once I have this new reality, 2 + 7 really does equal 4. And how dare you say otherwise? What's wrong? What's wrong with you? And that's why they can start saying, like, you know, okay, so let's come in with an argument. I saw right before I came on here a short video of this woman who was screaming about how men can't weigh in about pro-life versus pro-choice because they can't have a baby. So the right-wing influencer she was arguing with says, what about men who can have babies? So she's like, so since men can have babies, why can't they weigh in? And she's like, cisgender men can't. It's like, you know, when you try throwing their own logic at them, then they start redefining because there's no foundational truth. Everything is amorphous, and when everything is amorphous, you can find it. There is a logic there. It's just the logic is that we're just redefining terminology to best suit whatever feels right to us. This is what feels like the good thing to do. So we're going to redefine terms to try and make that comport with reality. So the logic does logic. It's just a matter of the only reason the logic works is because all of their definitions have no root, have no basis at all in reality. So
You didn't want to watch any more of that, did you?
I think I'm good with that one.
All right,
Yeah.
you got the next one.
Yeah, let's do it. Breaking. JB Prickster just admitted to allowing his cities to be invaded by illegal aliens because he wants them all to be given to all be given amnesty and given U.S. citizenship. Quote, whatever status they're given, have a chance to be in this country, maybe even become U.S. citizens, willing to rebel against the federal government to protect people who don't belong in America. Well, the last 4 years, Fat JB and every other Democrat official has aided and abetted the largest invasion in American history. These people are traitors to American people and deserve to be prosecuted for it. Let's hear from this tub of lard.
I've suggested to him that he needs to talk to the legislators, the legislative leaders, most especially to the delegation, our congressional delegation in Washington.
I don't know if you couldn't hear what that question was asking him about redistricting Illinois. Because it's not, we've looked at Illinois' maps, and it's like the most gerrymandered maps. And
they're the most circular maps.
But
it's
so
like
that
one
was his
district
question.
that's like practically a spiral.
Yeah, and he said, "Well, I'm talking to them, and so what? But wait, I just wanted because he couldn't. I heard what she was asking, but I don't think anybody else could hear.
That's something that I know he's pursuing, and we'll see whether the legislature has any interest in taking it up. I think that, as I've said all along, I think that the more that Donald Trump takes on this, endeavor of redistricting mid-decade, which is really mostly unheard of, and doing it only for the reason that he knows he's going to lose in 2026 if he doesn't rig the system in his favor, that's something that should weigh on the minds of people who are considering whether or not Illinois should do something about it. Yes.
Kind of a push to the Trump administration to only focus on those most violent offenders. Would you consider starting a dialogue with the president, instead of exchanging insults, starting a dialogue to use that letter as a possible way forward?
Well, I have advocated for a long time for comprehensive immigration reform. We need a way to address the challenges of immigration in this country. We haven't addressed it for 40 plus years. And the result is that we have laws that are disjointed, that allow ICE.
They're not
agents
disjointed at
to
all.
Issue their own detainer orders. I mean, that's not
the-
heard of on the streets of the United States.
That's what
You don't
Congress
have
has had
police
for 40
issuing their
years. You
own
just
detainer
pause it.
orders. They get a warrant.
How do you say that we don't have it's disjointed when we've been operating with the system for 40 years? Was it disjointed under Obama? It's not suddenly disjointed. You just admitted that these are all laws that have been on the books for the last 4 decades. What makes it? You're saying that's not what America is? Well, that's what America has been for the last 4 decades. What the hell are you talking about?
And the reason it was made that way is because we had district courts that were screwing around and stopping people from being deported. So they said, yeah, we can't deal with this. Going to federal court and tying up federal court with all these people that we want to deport. So we're going to have our own court set up just for deportations, immigration courts.
It's it's part of the executive branch, our immigration courts. It's not part of the judiciary. Go on.
Congress established it that way.
That's exactly. That's power, and that's completely American. It's so stupid.
Yeah. And then, but see, that the whole thing is they always say all Democrats all say we need comprehensive immigration reform. What that means is everyone who's here gets to stay and becomes a citizen, and we're going to let a bunch more people come in too. And this is just what's going to happen.
It always becomes amnesty.
Yeah, it's just amnesty. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, he's going to go a little further.
And then they go pick somebody up based on that warrant. This is not what happens with ICE. So that because of the failure of those laws. So I absolutely
not a failure of the law. That's exactly how the law is written.
Views are about that. So have, by the way, many Democrats who believe that.
Yeah, the law actually states that if someone is illegally present in the United States, they are summarily able to be arrested by ICE.
That's of why. Yeah, because we don't really like having illegal people here.
If you have and that's basically the whole journey. The thing about due process is you go in front of the immigration court and they say, do you have a legal right to be in this country? What's your reason for being here? Oh, you have no amnesty claim. You have no this. You have no nothing. You know, whatever. You got to go. That's the law. That's the way the Congress wrote the law. That's what it says.
Tell him, Jim. Jim's telling you.
So I don't know, and that's the due process. They go, well, no, they should get to go and appeal it and go to Supreme. Everyone gets to go to the Supreme Court to argue a fucking case. No, it doesn't work that way.
That's just not how any of this works.
It's their plan, and I think it's the Democrats' plan is to try and swamp the system, basically swamp the whole system, swamp the judiciary. That's what this whole thing is with all the lawsuits. It's trying to just try to gum it up, just keep throwing sand into the gears, trying to get everything to grind to a halt. So they're hoping that the Republicans are going to be weak-kneed and capitulate and go, fine, just stop. What do you want? What do we got to do to make this stop? Don't give up.
That's exactly what it
give
is.
up.
It's exactly what it is. It's that they're totally just they're doing everything they can to try to slow down the process. That's all they care about. Just slow it down and try and buy some time. They're trying to tread water as long as they can. This is what you're seeing Democrats do. Just try to tread water.
We need to secure our border. I mean, you don't have a country if you don't have a secure border. And make sure that people who are in this country, who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who are paying taxes.
No one cares if they're law-abiding. No one cares about any of that clown face.
Nobody in this country illegally who is working is law-abiding.
Yeah.
They are breaking numerous laws. They're either using stolen documents, they're lying, just like that guy who's the superintendent of the school district who had guns, charged with guns, all this other stuff, lied, said he was a U.S. citizen, was voting in elections.
Yep.
They're all like that. I have a clip, too. I don't know if you saw the clip of the 2 illegal aliens that went on that Caleb Hammer show. Did you guys watch that? The 2 illegal aliens that went on that, the guy who does budgeting for people. He's got a whole YouTube. It's really popular. People come in, they show them their books. Well, these 2 illegal aliens who have $400,000 in debt, they get paid cash, pay no taxes, get welfare, and they're basically well, we should be able to get this, we should get this. It's like they should be able to get the fuck out of this country.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's so
sorry.
The audacity. No, it's all right.
It's very infuriating. It's very infuriating.
I like Jim bringing the fire. It's good. It's good. Bring the
So
fire.
he's anyway. Basically, they're law. They don't. What taxes are they paying? Oh, you're saying because they buy stuff in Illinois, so they pay sales tax in Illinois with the cash they're getting paid because they're not paying income tax. They're not paying into any of these systems that they're using. Illinois is giving them all stuff, and they're not.
It's sickening. It's sickening. It is. It's sickening.
We just hit $38 trillion in debt. We put another $1 trillion on the debt in 2 months. What is going on? This is unsustainable.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, go here.
Who are our good friends and neighbors, good people, that they have a chance to stay in this country, whatever status they're given, but they have a chance to be in this country, maybe even to become U.S. citizens. I'm always open to a conversation with the president. I will say that, when he does things like threatens to jail the mayor of Chicago, the governor of Illinois, the governor of California,
stop obstructing.
It makes it all the more difficult.
Yeah,
well, stop breaking the law, asshole.
You just throw them in jail. That's what you should do. If they're obstructing, throw them in jail.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about it, just do it. Breaking, J.B. Pritzker just announced a special commission that will be dedicated to doxing, stalking, and prosecuting federal agents. See, this is why you get thrown in jail.
Mm-hmm.
This is why he's threatening you, and they should actually do it. They've inflamed and gaslit their constituents for decades with soft on crime policies and mass immigration, and the chicken is finally coming home to roost. These Illinois officials will be lucky to avoid investigations for aiding and abetting a rebellion. It's not aiding and abetting a rebellion. Let's call it what it is. It's obstruction. The intent is clear, and Pritzker and his cronies are doing everything they can to put federal officers in more danger. Trump is deporting every last Biden invader. I wish that were true. I don't think he is. That's the problem.
I think we're only on pace for like 600,000 this year.
It's not even close to what we need to be
not
doing.
even close.
It would be much better for them to self-deport. These empty threats and powers commissions are just theater.
I don't know if we want to even listen to him, but he's just basically
no. I'm tired of him. I'm tired of Pritzker.
Yeah,
but I do think we need to start stepping up and going after the obstructionists. Breaking, the DOJ is now investigating Democrats' master ICE tracker because it will facilitate violent attacks against ICE agents. Tom Homan is furious. Quote, "We're looking at impediment charges. We're looking at who's funding this stuff. It's a matter of time until agents are ambushed and killed. This is going to get an officer killed. I buried too many ICE and Border Patrol agents. DOJ is all over this. We will hold people accountable. They should. This is disgusting. I can't believe what's going on in this nation today. It's ridiculous. They're all over this, but we're going to keep doing the job." Homan is American patriot and legend. He is awesome. He's a hero, this guy.
Got to hear this? Or
yeah. Tom Homan, I'm always down for.
Laura, they're all over this. They're all over this. Now they're looking at, impediment charges, looking at who's funding this stuff, right? Because I'm telling you, it's a matter of time. And I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it because I truly believe it's a matter of time before an ICE agent's ambushed and killed. Because we're letting people know where enforcement activities are occurring. And they're looking for the worst of the worst. The last thing we want to do is give a bad guy, the worst of the worst, a heads up that ICE is down the street. This is going to get an officer killed. I go to bed every night, and I pray for every man and woman of ICE and Border Patrol go home safe to their families. I buried too many ICE agents in my career and Border Patrol agents. This has to stop. So Pam Bonnie's all over us. I know DOJ's all over this. We'll hold people accountable. This cannot happen. It's disgusting. I can't believe what's going on in this nation today. I wake up every morning in disbelief that people want to call the law enforcement officers the bad guys and the criminal public safety threats the victims. It's ridiculous. It's all upside down. But we're going to keep doing this job and keep President Trump's promise to American people.
I love that man. I love that man. He's awesome.
Where you want to go from here?
Let's see. What's the next story? Let's get into the next story because I feel like we covered this one pretty effectively. Do you have any more stories? We're already 2 hours in, so I can start landing my plane. I can start.
Well, we have Democrats. I have a story about Democrats threatening people, threatening revenge.
Threatening revenge.
Yeah. We got Dan Goldman threatening revenge. Hakeem Jeffries threatening revenge. James Carville threatening to shave people's heads and put them in suits and make them walk in like orange jumpsuits, basically reminiscent of a camp somewhere, kind of, in my opinion.
First
Bring it
year
back.
watching Joe, had to deal with Joe taking smoke breaks. Only like once or twice. I didn't do it very often. And that was for like really long streams. Like that was like, I didn't do it during a 2-hour show. I did it like when there would be like, we're covering a trial. And I did it during the Rittenhouse trial, I'm sure. But yeah. I remember I was outside having a smoke when I got a text from Nick Rekieta telling me to get my ass into the chat because his show was exploding for the Rittenhouse trial. And I was like, he's like, I got 25,000 people watching me. I was like, holy hell. And I just jumped on in there. But he actually reached out to me to get me on. Trump will likely move to Heartland since he's removed TPS and their time is nearly up. They can't eat cats and dogs anymore in Springfield. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. That is something that our children will never be able to appreciate. Just how awesome that was. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. I should review IRS data for inconsistent tax deductions. Many use stolen and sold Social Security numbers to work. They pay in on the fake ID that they buy. So that's how basically you should look for inconsistent tax deductions. Someone who buys one also would have brand new deductions based on what they had before. I don't think they can legally look at your tax returns. Your tax returns are considered private. You have to get it's a process for anyone to look at your tax returns. It's not like the police can just pull your tax returns. Or federal authorities can just pull your tax returns. It's a
I know
process.
I know that they were talking about having ICE or some CBP or someone like Homeland Security looking at tax returns, and the Democrats were screaming about it. And there were a few, they want states to turn over certain information, like the states to turn over information on their Medicaid and stuff like that. And for housing and urban development, we need to know who's an illegal alien.
We probably do have a lot of protections built in, so your tax returns are not something that are easily accessible even by other branches of government.
Unless you're Trump, and then they just leak them out to the
right. But it's considered something that, and even there, it took them years and years to get anywhere. They spent years desperately trying to get their hands on it, and then they got one page, and they looked like jackasses. But they don't. It's not easy to get it, and they certainly can't do it on a mass basis to start looking for inconsistencies. It's a good idea what you're suggesting, Elegant, but I don't think it's practical.
I don't even know how they could even do it when, like, there was a story, I didn't have it today, it was a couple of days ago, about the Social Security cards. Like, they were giving Social Security numbers to people, and it wasn't like everyone's getting a different number. They were giving 50,000 people the same number. It's a Biden administration. Seriously. The same Social Security number. Because they knew, like, there's to be no way to track who it is. And so here you can go work with this number, basically letting them all work with the same Social Security number.
Unbelievable. What do we
Well, I have two things that I think if you want to real quick before we wrap up. I have a couple things with these people threatening stuff and responses, or I have those illegal aliens doing that thing. We're talking about how they don't pay cash, get paid cash, and they have all these. I mean, how did they get a loan? How did they get a mortgage in the United States? How is this possible that they got a mortgage to buy a house and that they're getting car loans and credit cards?
How do they do that?
That's what I'm saying. How do they do this?
Right. You don't know.
The guy himself was like, what? What? It's like, I can't even, what? I can't believe you don't know who Caleb Hammer is, man. He's great. He always telling the people that he does like budgeting, tries to help people, and he goes, "You're doing what?"
I'm interested in number 11 on what you got there.
All right, let me look.
11 and 11A. ICE related? Is that ICE related?
No. This is just that's about the one is Fetterman and McCormick is them just talking about the shutdown and everything, them teaming up, the two senators, and then
I'm very curious about that. Share that with me.
All right.
Because then you put 11A that Democrats need to stop demonizing ICE, and
Well, because it's kind of this. It was just I didn't have nowhere else to put that. I didn't have nowhere else to put that. I was trying to find somewhere to stick it, and I just figured it was because it's like it's Scott Jennings, and he's saying things that we would like. So,
okay, I got you.
yeah. And so this is something we would like. This is Fetterman and Dave McCormick coming together and saying,
Do it. Let's do it.
all right.
In an incredible moment, newly elected Senator Dave McCormick and from Republican and Senator John Fetterman stood together in D.C. and slammed the Schumer shutdown. You have a video?
Yeah.
That's a video? Let's go with the video.
Here we are in Washington, D.C., and it is shut down. But now here, it's both Pennsylvania's voice here in the U.S. Senate, even though we are in a different party. And we both want to talk about why we believe it's so important to reopen this government.
23 days, 12 votes. Senator Fetterman and I have both voted to open up the government. We agree on that 100%. It's really starting to hurt Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, it's air traffic controllers, border patrol, and also 2 million recipients of SNAP. We've got to get the government open. That's our main responsibility. And I'd say that regardless of what party's in the majority.
So I think we both, our votes are about country over party at this point. And now we have 2 million Pennsylvanians that rely on SNAP. That's gonna stop. And now we can now reopen this government and have an earnest conversation about extending those tax credits. You know, we know we're gonna participate in this process. That's why we both vote to open up our government. We're in a different party. We're on the same team for Pennsylvania and our nation.
Pennsylvanians expect it. Pennsylvanians deserve it.
Wow. So I just want to be clear. During the federal shutdown, there's no SNAP benefits that are given?
Well, certain things get cut out. I mean, they don't have them. Like they were able to do it. Like he found the money to pay this month's
SNAP.
What needs to happen, and I can't believe Trump hasn't thought about this. So if you're listening, Trump, pay attention. You need to get some people together like Elon and some other rich people and have them open up, like go to basically food banks and do something to just basically make sure these people that are on SNAP aren't starving. You know, aren't whatever. The people that actually need it.
What are you suggesting?
Just
that Elon should fund it himself?
Sure, why not? What's it going to cost them? A couple $100 million?
I don't know. I don't know what it would cost them.
Because you got Gavin Newsom.
I could see it being a lot more than a couple $100 million.
Gavin Newsom activated the National Guard to send them to the food banks because he's worried about riots.
Wow.
That was in yesterday's stories.
Wow. What else you got? I like closing out the show with stuff.
I mean, this is basically the same thing. This is just Dave McCormick posting it, and then we got Scott Jennings.
Let's do Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is a strong one to close on.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the next senator from Kentucky.
All right. Okay. Scott Jennings, KY. You know what? You might be right. That's why he puts the KY in there. That's why. All right. I honestly wish Democrats would stop with the sweeping generations and smears of ICE agents just admit the truth. Go on. Bring me the video. We got video?
Yeah.
Yes, I knew he would.
Is there proper training happening here when it comes to ICE?
There's not. We've all seen it. And there should
you definitively state that they're not being properly trained. Do you know that?
Because they're shooting dogs. They're shooting dogs in people's that have been locked in people's bathrooms. They're abandoning small children alone in cars while they. No, it's not false. Look it up. Don't just say false. I actually
abandoning small children. They turned the children over to HHS.
There were actually small children abandoned in a highway in a car in Cicero, Illinois.
You make these sweeping statements that they're not training.
Would you like me
they're
to
not
get
training ICE
with
with
examples of what is happening?
The kid that was abandoned in Cicero was abandoned by the fucking father that left the kid and ran away from the car.
Right.
This lying twat. Sorry. You know, she was someone who claimed she was a Republican at one point in time. Anna Navarro.
She's a lunatic. She's a crazy woman.
Of course they're training them.
Well, they're training them, then they're not learning this stuff. They're definitely violating human rights.
So stupid.
Scott.
Well, I
Violate
disagree with
human.
you.
Okay, well,
Well, look, Scott, she had a specific example.
It
sounds like you were unfamiliar with it.
I'm not aware of her example. Here's what I know.
Okay, so
under
you don't
Joe
know
Biden,
whether-
under Joe Biden, they didn't enforce federal immigration law.
so
Now we do.
stupid.
We're having hundreds
Well,
of thousands of
my
interactions.
point is that you
Things
just
will
said,
happen, but she said they are not
I know,
training
but you,
them.
but
She
no,
said
but
they're not
she-
training.
she-
do you
no,
think
no,
that
no,
do you
she
think
said-
that
she was
trained
saying-
do you think that trained
She was saying a
ICE
specific
agents
example,
would,
and you said it
her
was
first
false.
statement
US
was,
citizens?
Don't.
she said,
You just
quote, they're not
acknowledge
training
that.
them.
You just
We all
acknowledge that
see
you
it.
don't know what she was
Do you
referring
think
to.
I don't. I
do
don't
you
know. I
think
don't know
that
what she's
scooping
talking
Pause
up
it,
US
pause it,
citizens
pause
without
it.
giving
This stupid Abby Lowell, she always tries to sound like she's being the reasonable one here. But it's a ridiculous thing when there are literally hundreds of thousands of encounters. You find one encounter, even if this did happen, that there was one screw up in one place, to make a sweeping statement that they're not trained because there's one, that's lunacy. You have to be an idiot to actually try and make that as an argument, but that you can find one example out of hundreds of thousands, because that shows remarkable levels of training, because there is human error. There's always human error to some degree. That's not a lack of training, that's human error. So even if this would have been a screw up, which it wasn't, based on what Jim has shared here, even if there was a screw up, that's not any indication of lack of training. That's stupid. It's such a ridiculous. And Abby Lowell is like, well, you don't know about this case. You know about this case. That case doesn't prove anything about a system-wide failure in training. It's the dumbest thing. But go ahead. Let's see what Scott comes up with.
I disagree with the generalization that they're scooping up U.S.
There's
citizens.
170 that have been
Well, there's
scooped
over
up.
a half a
Those 170 were people who attacked ICE agents.
Yes.
So yes, when you attack an officer, it doesn't matter if you're a citizen, you're getting arrested.
And
you can't say, you can't arrest me. You can't arrest me. I'm a citizen. You broke the law.
Frankly, we should have laws which say we deport you with them. All right? Get rid of these people with them. We don't have laws like that, so you can't get rid of them with them, but that's what we should
Maybe
have.
a slight vacation in Gitmo or something. I don't know.
It's the insanity, the audacity that you think, you have the right to basically stand in the way of federal agents. The fact that there aren't 170 dead people is a reflection of the remarkable training of ICE, right? Instead of it being 170 arrests, that they weren't shot, that they weren't tased, that they're not permanently scarred emotionally and physically. That's a reflection of the training. Because if they weren't trained, that's what a normal person would do in that position. They'd be like, hey, look, the federal government sent me out here to do this. You're standing in my way. Bam! That's what would happen. But they know why that doesn't happen? Because they're trained. That's why. It doesn't happen because they're
if Trump was a king or he was a fascist, there would be blood in the streets. People would be getting their teeth knocked out. Tell you what, it would look like it did in Chicago in 1968 when Mayor Daley told them to shoot first and ask questions later.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a Democrat, so that was okay.
It's the idea that this is a basis to claim they're not trained because you have 170. You have less than 1 in 3,000. That's your proof? That's your proof? That's proof of how well they are trained. It's insanity. It's really insanity. Unbelievable.
million illegal aliens that have been deported.
There's little children that have been
1.6
scooped
million
up
have
that are U.S.
self-deported.
citizens.
All right, look.
I know you don't want the law enforced. I get it.
Video
You don't
of
have to
black
yell at me.
kids.
You don't want the law
All right,
enforced.
look.
I
One yelling
understand.
too.
Listen, look. It is true.
Guess what?
That
On
United
this
States
table, black and
citizens
white people can
have
yell.
been detained by ICE without
Detained and released.
Yeah,
Released.
But
Released.
whether you're detained
After
and released
hours or
after
days of
hours or
being
days,
held?
Okay, Joe, as a lawyer, how long can you be detained without charges in the United States as a citizen?
I'm not a criminal defense lawyer, so I can't tell you that.
72 hours.
Really? I thought I would have said
72
20.
hours.
I would have thought 24.
72 hours.
All right. But she sits there with her arm up, like she's got all the
Like she
facts
knows
and
something.
knowledge. Yeah, I got all the facts. I got all day here. You're an idiot. You're an uninformed.
And actually, Hedy Lamarr is right. Obama did sign an executive order that said that people could be indefinitely detained. So,
yeah, when he was running Gitmo. Yeah. Snap is about to run out of funds, and it will be fun. They're already putting up videos that don't stop us from stealing. Let me tell you about dogs and ATF.
yeah, maybe there's some ATF agents. If she's talking about dogs getting killed, maybe there's a couple ATF agents that were out helping ICE, and they just couldn't help themselves. They love to shoot dogs.
Oh, Santiago Space Outlaw says Joe, Trump is not the leader of MAGA. All right. All right, go on.
may still be violated, and that's still an issue that people have a right to be concerned
Can I
about.
just go curveball? The reason why they're often detained though is also because of the color of their skin.
Absolutely.
I mean, again, a sweeping blanket general. Do you know of a
It's
specific
all
instance?
about-
No, we got data. Honestly,
I actually, the answer is
Specific instance of what?
the answer is
you're saying they're
hold
not
on a second.
correct. You're saying they're racist.
The
I mean, these are
answer-
I
blanket
didn't say that.
statements.
That was a blanket
That's
statement.
The
wild.
answer is
Hey, you just said that. You just said the reason that they're being detained is because they're race. That's what you just said. I didn't say that. It's like what the heck is the point to your statement if you're not trying to say that they're racist? This show is such a clown farce. It's like they sit there in this circle jerk, and that's why they have it in a circle, because they're basically they sit around this table coming up with the most asinine, ridiculous arguments to try and sound so enlightened, and when they're entitled like position, like she's sitting there like oh, I'm the queen of the world over here. Let me just say, like she's sitting there like Tony Montoya. That she's got all the facts and the knowledge, and she's going to just share with you because she's got Abby Lowell there basically shilling that, hey, she just made a good point, even if she just made a retarded point. The patience that Scott Jennings must have, I'm sure he gets well paid, and he certainly has gained a great deal of favor in MAGA. He's someone who we didn't even mention as far as a voice of MAGA who has risen up really over the last 18 months. I never heard of this guy, and frankly, I can't go 48 hours without seeing 3 clips of him basically tearing someone apart in one of these roundtables with CNN. It's been the greatest gig in the world for him as far as
from what I
increasing his
understand,
exposure.
Scott Jennings was really big in like locally in Kentucky, and something catapulted him into the national spotlight around 2 years ago.
Right.
He was able to start getting on CNN and stuff.
And this roundtable with CNN has given an opportunity to shine as a voice where he's basically, you want to know what makes someone an influencer, coming full circle back? It's that you say things that MAGA is like, yeah, hell yeah. That's what makes someone an influencer. And it really doesn't matter to just sort of formulate your thoughts, crystallize them, and express them with confidence. And basically have common sense and express it with confidence and say, hey, look, this is the way life is. So you sit there and you listen to this circle jerk of people who are coming up there with these arguments, which are basically inconsequential, not proving the point that they're alleging it's making, or worse yet, like that last crazy, black version of Marge Simpson's sister with the hair coming out the sides there, basically saying, an unfortunate percentage of these people who are arrested happen to be people of color, and then would say, you're claiming that they're all racist. I didn't say racist. Like, why did you bring up people of color if you weren't calling them racist? Because they can't argue with any sort of genuinity. Instead, they have to come up with some sort of farcical type of claims. And as soon as she brings that up, Mr. Stacey Abrams with the teeth there has to come out. What's the guy's name? The one he ran for president. What was his name there? That black guy, that old black dude there, Colonel West.
Colonel Sanders West.
Yeah, Colonel. Yeah, so Colonel West got to come up there, and that he's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's all, we got the numbers to prove it. We got the numbers to prove it, because he's basically an Al Sharpton wannabe. And they come in there and they're basically like pretending we're not making about race, but it happens to be people of color. Why are you talking about their color then? Because are we actually going to have like a little? Are we having like a melanin factor? But it's not about race. It's about how tan the white people are. I don't think that's what you're trying to say. I don't think that's where you're going. You're saying that they're racist. That's why you're making the point. You can't even. You're so small. You can't even admit that what you're saying. So stupid. Oh my god. But yeah, Scott Jennings, he does a great job there. He really does. And Abby Lowell is the. It's the Jen Psaki of like, I'm giving you an answer and I'm not really giving you an answer, which is so frustrating. It's so, this is one of the ways that the left like loves to like, I feel like almost they're trolling me when I'm watching. It's like, you don't believe anything you say. You're just a grifter. You don't believe anything you're saying. You're desperately trying to say, well, they're making kind of a point here. They're kind of making a point because, she has a case you didn't know about. So that shows that the 500,000 arrests, none of them are trained. How stupid. So stupid. Normally, I think he hits back better in those moments. I would have been. I'm surprised he didn't say what I said. That the fact that you only have one case over here, or 170 cases out of hundreds of thousands.
No, when she was talking about the
training.
she was talking about the story about the black kids getting the black baby getting zip tied. That's what she was saying. The black kids getting zip tied. That had nothing to do with ICE. That was a father who did it to their son playing cops and robbers. The whole story came out. So it's
And that's another thing they'll do is they'll try and come up with some story that you might not have heard of and try and say, oh, well, see, I'm better informed than you are because I came up with some random story which happened to one person one time and you don't know about it. That's what Ben Shapiro, that's one of the things that frustrates me about the way Ben Shapiro will argue sometimes. It's like all of a sudden he'll just sort of drop some study that he saw that no one else has ever seen, which, proves that 47% of all people are born with favoring the index finger on their left hand. And you're like, what do you say to that? I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what the hell that report's about. So, and it's like, unless I read the same stupid reports you read, how the hell am I supposed to argue with you? And that's what they do with these stories. They'll pick some isolated story and then pretend that they have superior
the report
knowledge.
she's reading is some story she read on some far left blog somewhere, which is twisted and not true. It's not like it's a report from the police or it's a report from any credible thing. It's just some report she read in some blog somewhere.
Anyone can claim to have a story. That's why I was comparing to the way Ben Shapiro argues, where it's like, I'm not saying that the study doesn't exist, but if you start invoking some study as a basis of evidence of what your position is saying, I don't know how it is that I'm supposed to feel like you beat me. You can, but it has an air of superiority because it's like, well, I know things you don't know because I've read more, I've studied more about this, and it's not that necessarily you're more informed. You just found something that you like and you're throwing it out at me. And how the hell am I supposed to refute that when no one's ever heard of this thing that you're claiming? So I think it's a very disingenuous way to argue. If you're talking about stories that have gained national attention, then someone should be expected to be like, hey, look, if you're walking into that arena, you should be aware of stories that have broadly circulated in the national realm. But if you're talking about things that's an isolated incident and something like that, it's the silliest thing in the world. And it's a type of gotcha. It's a type of gotcha that a lot of people engage in debate try to engage in.
That there was
I've
another
seen Ben Shapiro do it. That's why I mentioned him, to point out it's not just people on the left. It is some people on the right who do it.
There was another Indian illegal alien truck driver that killed people again. Happened yesterday.
Hold on a second. Who remembers Waco, Ruby Ridge, and all dogs put down by ATF? ICE has been very tame. Yeah. Jimmy, your dog rusts me out. You should be ashamed.
They're saying my dog is fat. My dog is not fat. My dog is pure muscle. That dog is solid.
Jimmy, your dog is cute.
She pulls sleds and back with thousands of pounds on them.
I'm just going to say this. While I don't really agree with the message that Kimberly is saying here, it is our 2-year anniversary together here in the following. So we're going to... I know you didn't hear it, but I just blew the horn. If you could have heard it, you would have been like, wow, that was...
Did you hear the cowbell?
And I need more cowbell. So, member of the farm for 24 months. Happy anniversary, Kimberly. Well done. Scott has a radio show worth a listen. I'm sure it is worth a listen. West wants to be the next race grifter to continue Jackson legacy and also hopes for the money grift. There's no question about that. He's been race grifting every time. Every time. It's a fixation of his, where it's continually about like how, the black people are oppressed. Zero accountability ever for any issues the black community faces. And I'm not saying that there isn't. Someone once made a fair point to me about how the prison sentencing was designed to try and further fatherlessness in the black community, which I think is an interesting discussion that at one time I think I want to go down exploring that.
No, I think that's what the whole welfare state did.
What do you mean?
It said you don't need a man to take care of you. The government will take care of it. The more kids you have and you don't have a man there, we're going to give you more money.
Two things can both be true.
And you take away the man's ability, the man's
You're right.
place in the house to. No, I'm saying you take away the man's place in the house, he's going to do other things. He's going to get into trouble. He's going to do stuff. And he's going to get arrested.
Your point is they were financially incentivized to have fatherlessness.
Correct. And then that breeds. You have kids being raised without fathers. They grow up to not have that discipline of having a father. They commit crimes. They go to jail.
Right.
Because if you look, you can see the actual spike. It's a cyclical. Yeah, you see the spike in the crime and the arrests and stuff happened around 8 to 10 years after the passage of the the Great Society shit that LBJ did.
But the point is that two things can both be true.
Sure.
You know?
Definitely.
So LBJ's policies could have helped to facilitate that, as well as prison reform, which was designed to, let's say, punish crack cocaine harder than heroin.
Well, that was way later, though. That was way
in the
later.
80s. That was in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, the major spike happened in the 1970s, the early 70s.
Yeah. All right. I think we're 2.5 hours in. I think it's time for us to land our plane. Tomorrow I was looking over. I haven't seen any talk about there being a show tomorrow on Laid Back Law.
Laid Back Law?
I don't know what's happened. I don't know did I miss it? I don't know what's going on. Normally there's a roundup like who's available, and I haven't even seen that'll happen on Thursdays, and I haven't seen anything like that. I think I'm going to try and do a locals tomorrow. I think I'm going to try and do a locals tomorrow. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I will be doing a show tomorrow night at 10 p.m. on Jim Tells You, where I will tell you all the news of the day, and I might even tell you my opinion, since some people seem like maybe they like that. I don't know.
They should. You should. Everyone wants to hear your opinions. So I am going to urge you that if you can, please hit like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you check out Jim Tells You at Jim Tells You. Did you send me your private
I did send it. I got it. I'll give it to you right now.
So make sure you check out Jim Tells You. Give him a sub, because his game is getting better and better. And if you do it enough, he might even stop putting that hideous dog up there. And
dog is not hideous.
Oh my God. Every time I see it, I'm like, this looks like a diseased mass of flesh. No offense. I'm sure he has a lovely personality.
She is an amazing dog, and she is all muscle. Like she's I don't know if you ever heard of a pulling dog that they go in pulling competitions. That's what she did when she was she could pull 3,000 pounds.
Wow. So she's basically there in case, God forbid, there's an emergency situation. You're hoping that she comes to the rescue and tugs you out, you out a window.
I got her because I thought she was cute, and I don't force her to do anything.
Right.
She loves it. She loves pulling stuff. She will drag me if she sees something she wants. She will drag me. There's no way I can hold her back.
All right, we really need to stop this conversation. All right. Well. I thank you all for joining me. I'm going to be throwing this into the chat here and ask you all. Let me add it in. I'm going to throw it first into Rumble so that you guys there can all find it over there. Did I miss something over here? Santiago Space Outlaw? No, I got that one already. So I'm posting it here. I'm going to urge you, please make sure it's pinned in the chat. Hey, go give him a follow. He's a good guy. He works hard.
Who?
And I'm talking about you, Jim.
Oh, I actually, that's the wrong thing. That's a weekly show. I do a nightly show every night at 10 o'clock. I usually take one night off a week. Lately, it's been Sunday night, but I don't know.
Right. And I'm going to urge you guys, make sure you give him a follow, check him out, all that other good stuff, because he's awesome. I'm also going to tell you that they're going to try and they're also going to try that they're going to try and get you to sample some lab meats. And they're going to be like, look, it smells the same. It tastes the same. It's not meant for you. It never was meant for you. See, meat comes from a cow. I don't know if anyone, or I guess a sheep. Some of you might say a pig, a goat, a lamb, a giraffe, a bison. It comes from a living organism. A living organism that gives its life so that it can be carved up and processed appropriately, and you eat it. And that's protein, and that's healthy. That's how God intended it. Don't eat lab meat. It's not meant for you. It's meant for they, them. I'm also going to point out to you that you should never, under any circumstances, don't even think about it. Doesn't matter how they dress it up. Doesn't matter what they do. Do not eat the bugs. Don't do it. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you on Locals tomorrow afternoon. Good night. Godspeed.